Welcome in to Check the Mic. Steve Palazzolo, Sam Monson, live on YouTube from the Antonio Cromartie studio on Part with Huggies, all brought to you by FanDuel. Starting to roll off the tongue. Got it. Feeling good. Feeling good on this Wednesday, Sam. Feeling a great show coming up here.
Just in time for a new billionaire to jump on and change the name on you.
It's fine. It's fine. I'm ready. Ready for another billionaire in the billionaire tier to put their naming rights on Check the Mic's studio here. It's all available in the membership section. Go check it out. If you're on YouTube mobile, there's a hype button now. I saw that lurking in recent weeks. You press the hype button. It helps the show as well. So just click it. Just press the hype button.
Huh. What does that do?
I don't know. Helps the show.
I go do
it's in my notes.
Let's go do it now.
It's in my notes. Go hype it up, man. We're all going to go to mobile.
Find it.
Double our viewership too. Just like if you're on the desktop or something, just go to mobile. Click the hype button.
Just keep multiple shows streaming at all times.
I have a feeling it's going to be a great show. Brian Daboll has been fired by the Giants as head coach. I don't mean to sound excited about that.
And rolled it right into the great show part.
It's going to be a great show because we're
great news for everybody.
I didn't mean that.
Except Brian.
Let's redo that. Unfortunate news out of New York where Brian Daboll has been fired right after the show, our show on Monday. So we'll break that all down. And yeah, we have tons of news.
I see no hype button at all.
Well, we'll find it. It's got to be there somewhere. All sorts of news to break down. We have Shouty Shows. We have Shouty Shows sprinkled in throughout the show, and we'll do a little playoff look ahead. We're going to look ahead to the second half of the season, and break down the divisions, the division matchups and races is the word I'm looking for. Division races, which are heating up here because it's November. This is where the real football's starting to be played.
Yeah. Mohall points out in the chat that the AP votes are going to be made public again. They dropped that on everyone last year without telling anybody, remember? They just made it public for the first time.
You just woke up and
surprise!
It's like, oh, everybody knows I chose Brock Bowers over Jaden Daniels. How about that?
Yeah, so he was like, no more contrarian lone takes. The thing is, you don't know that they're a contrarian lone take until the votes are made public and you're the lone wolf standing.
Unless, as look, there's a lot more data people out there. Some data people went out there and did some analysis and said, of the 50 voters, who were the most similar, who were the most different, Tom Brady and Teddy Bruschi were ironically like lockstep, weren't they, last year as AP voters? Wasn't that how it went?
Brady was, he was similar.
It was like they were like most similar together. So It's like maybe some people are talking.
No, I think that, but you don't know. You might know that a bunch of people feel the same way. I mean, that's easy. But you're not going to know that you're the one guy who's going somewhere different until it shows up. That's the issue.
And Commanders fans would think, stupid Sam, just out there on his own, trying to be different. Like, how am I trying to be different?
Yeah, I mean, I knew that Jaden Daniels was going to be the favorite and would win, but I didn't know Brock Bowers would have no other support as the first guy.
So you don't know. Be great. So that Tuesday, Wednesday morning, whatever that is.
Well, at least they've told people this time, Last time it was just like, surprise, they're public.
Surprise, your mentions are blowing up with all your picks. Go justify yourself.
Yeah, to be fair, they did say in the whole time, this could happen at any point. But, I think people expected a heads up rather than just, hey, the way we said it could at any point be public? Well, it's public now.
Well, let me just first off say congratulations to you on still having an AP vote.
The email came. I am, in fact, still on the panel. I was not summarily punished and removed for putting that lone wolf vote.
I usually don't, one of my phrases I tell our kids, we don't want to celebrate expected accomplishments.
Right.
Like you graduated high school. Oh, great. Like you should, I'm just, but good job still having an AP vote. Normally I wouldn't celebrate such things, but people lose them now.
Sure.
People lose them all over the place.
Somebody lost one, I think, between last year and this year. It wasn't me. I don't know who it was, but somebody lost theirs.
Chris lost his vote.
He did.
Couple of years ago. So it's, you still being on the panel. Congrats.
Well, Chris lost his through, I think, just being late with filling it in and stuff. I've at least been hitting the deadline every time,
It's good. It's good. I would definitely lose.
You tell me 5 p.m. Monday, it'll be in at 5 p.m. Monday. Don't worry about it.
Not like your Survivor picks.
No. Yeah.
All right. We've got a monster, jam-packed show here today. We will get to all the news. But we're going to start with Shouty Shows. So let's get into it. It's Shouty Show time.
I've thought about it very deeply.
I liked how he started it with, I've thought about this long and hard.
I trust the backup quarterback more than I do Dak.
This is why Skip Bayless is the master of the Shouty Show segments.
I can't do it anymore. It is year 6.
It's just a never-ending arms race of idiocy between loud, obnoxious people. We are the antidote to that.
All right, we got some good ones here today. I can feel it. All I have is the notes, but I can feel they're going to be good. The first one is about Micah Parsons.
I don't know if you noticed this last night with Micah Parsons. He didn't have a sack. He didn't have a quarterback hit. Let me check the stats. Oh, it's the second straight game. No sacks, no quarterback hits. Remember when the Cowboys traded him? The reaction was completely over the top. You were only allowed one opinion. Oh, this is a heist for the backers. Oh, they stole him from Jerry and the Cowboys. But there was this one singular voice in the American sports landscape. Just a tiny, humble voice from a tiny, humble man, me, who said, I get it. I get it. I've seen Micah get engulfed by good left tackles. What are his playoff numbers? There's a way to go at Micah. Yeah, remember that? I was the one guy that raised his hand and said, I got a couple first-round picks and Kenny Clark. All right.
Colin Cowherd on Micah Parsons.
I was the one that saw it.
I'll tell you what was most impressive about this is that Colin on his for his Monday show got into the All-22, got into the coach's film. So this was yesterday's show, obviously, because this happened on Monday night. So, Tuesday morning, he's out there grinding film early, watching Micah and his run-stopping ability from that game.
You think?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it sounded a lot like he was just looking at the stats. If you just look at the stats.
Perhaps.
He didn't have a sack.
He had one tackle, one assisted tackle, did not hit the quarterback or knock him down.
Yeah.
Your thoughts, Colin Cowherd, on Micah Parsons?
I mean, Micah Parsons is still a really good player even when he's not getting a sack or a hit, Like he hasn't – there haven't been games, I think, where he's been completely like, oh, look, Micah Parsons did absolutely nothing in this game, was not a factor. He's been a factor in all those games. As for Colin being the one guy who saw through everything and the narrative and the one opinion that you're allowed to have the truth at the time when they traded him away, I mean, that puts you on the same side as Jerry Jones, which – I'm not sure is where you really want to be residing most of the time.
One humble man.
One humble man saw to the truth.
Yeah. I mean, the interesting dynamic here is it was a game in which the Packers gave up 10 points. 70, and they only really scored a touchdown because of two plays back-to-back, right? The swing pass and the bomb to Devontae Smith.
Right.
So the defense as a whole certainly did their job.
It's also, by the way, there's this weird opinion that, like, if you're an elite defensive player, that there's no game where you can't be absolutely dominant and be the thing, right? Like, every single defensive player in the NFL has a game where they're anonymous. I mean,
yes.
Myles Garrett is by far the best defensive player in the NFL at this point, has games where he's anonymous. TJ Watt, went through this run of like, oh, look at the numbers he's putting up. This is all-time great. He's had stretches where he's been anonymous. Every single player has a game where they don't show up, at least statistically or impact-wise, no matter how good they are. So, if all you're looking for is one of those games to be like, see, I mean, he didn't show up this game.
There's plenty of those. Yeah.
Literally every player. Like, you can never be wrong because you just got to wait for your opportunity.
Reggie White had games where he did not make an impact.
Right.
I imagine. Bruce Smith. Lawrence Taylor had games.
Right.
Where they did not make an impact. It's a societal base rate problem, Sam. Nobody knows the base rate. Nobody knows the expectation. Yes. Nobody knows the baseline expectations for a player.
Dude,
so that when they see something, they don't know what to compare it against.
Remember, there was a stretch of time where people tried to talk themselves into Aaron Donald being bad against the run. ESPN pulled out some statistic that showed that he, gave up a greater than average gap in depth or something in the run. They're like, maybe Aaron Donald's actually ass against the run. Have you ever thought about that? You're like, well, no, because it's patently ridiculous, actually. But there was that was a thing for like a year. People were trying to talk themselves into Aaron Donald's actually just a one-trick pony whose one trick has kind of dried up because he's been triple-teamed every play. So what is he really bringing to the table?
What is he really?
Right? And this is the greatest defensive player of like the last 25 years, maybe the greatest of all time. And people spent a serious chunk of time trying to talk themselves into the fact that he was actually just an average one-trick pony who couldn't defend the run. This happens to every defensive player.
So the kernel of truth in there before Colin ran with it and established victory here a little over halfway through the season. He called it. He nailed it. The little bit of a kernel of truth is I would say Micah Parsons has not been as individually disruptive from a stat sheet, eye test. He had 3 or 4 sacks just a couple weeks ago against the Cardinals. Those are easier games to see the impact. But so maybe he hasn't been as impactful in the last few weeks. However, you got all these stats going around now. The Packers have 3 losses. They're setting records for having 3 losses with, only 30 points given up given up under 300 yards, whatever they are. There's all these stats out there about how good the Packers defense has been in losses. Lost to the Browns early in the season, offense did nothing. Lost to the Panthers, offense did nothing. Lost to the Eagles, just scored 7 points, right? So I don't think he would be the guy to attack Micah Parsons.
Right.
This whole defense is much better than it was last year, outside of one Cowboys game, I would say. Much better than it was last year. And I think you could easily look at Parsons as the force multiplier that has made that defense better.
Yeah, I think he's legitimately been game-changing for them. That doesn't mean everything is fixed, but yes, I think Micah Parsons has been a resounding success for the Green Bay Packers, as he was for the Dallas Cowboys for the entirety of his time there.
Yes. So the larger point, though, that we talked about is this happened with Chris Jones when he was coming out of the draft. And people would say, oh, he takes too many plays off at Mississippi State. And that's where I appreciated, we were with PFF at the time. I appreciated the PFF grading and having what we had and what we were quantifying at that time, because all the numbers said, well, he's creating pressure, havoc, run game, pass game at an extremely high rate. If you're watching the game and you don't understand how often a defensive tackle should really make an impact in the game, you might say, well, he disappeared for 10 plays. Where is he? It's like, yeah, most defensive tackles don't make an impact they make an impact on, say, a quarter of the plays. And if you're expecting 50%, you're going to be disappointed, not just by Chris Jones in college, but by everybody. So you create these narratives, oh, he takes plays off. And you can do the same thing with Parsons. If you expect the best pass rushers to have 3 sacks per game, or even 3 QB hits per game, you're going to be disappointed. So it's about expectations, right? We don't do this. I guess we do that. Do we do this with quarterbacks? Quarterback misses a throw. He's like, see, I told you he's inaccurate. We do actually do that. Anthony Richardson throws a dime. See, I told you he's accurate. We do this in the media. But you just don't understand what the proper expectations are, I don't think, for defensive players sometimes.
Disappears is a thing you hear all the time.
I hate that.
Players. Like, everybody disappears. Like, it's part of the game. Like, you're not, I mean, as you said, the difference in pass rush, let's use pass rush win rate as a stat. Like, the best players in the NFL are between 20 and 25%. An average to nothing player is, 10 to 15%. So you're going from 10 percentage points is the difference between rank average, not even making a huge impact, and the best player in the NFL in that stretch. And none of them are above, like a quarter of their pass rushes that they actually get a win on. So that's the line that you're moving between elite and not very good at all. So by definition, every single player disappears for a stretch.
All right, that's enough of that. We got one more. Next one. Not one more. We have 3 more. Next one's Pats versus the Bills.
I don't love being rivals with Buffalo because they're hardy people. You said it's snowing there. They're probably under 7 feet of snow already. It's not even Thanksgiving. I'm out here. It's 80. I see palm trees and parrotfish diving through the air. We are going to get our 7th Super Bowl before they get 1. In no universe is that fair. And they are real blue-collar, hardcore fans. I'm going to have 7 rings before they have 1. How is that fair?
It's Dave Portnoy making his Shouty Show debut.
Yeah.
Got to be careful now. We're in the internet age. Colin Cowherd's not going to call us out for calling him out.
Right.
Portnoy's liable to do like an emergency press conference.
You definitely don't want to get on the wrong side of Portnoy and his army.
Now, look, Swamps gets owned. Dave Portnoy. He went to high school with Todd McShay.
I don't. Now I do.
There you go.
Yeah.
Went to my high school baseball coach's baseball camp. He was a North Reading baseball camper, Dave Portnoy.
Yeah.
Turned whatever he is.
Yeah.
Multi-millionaire
yes.
over at Barstool.
Several times over. He's interesting because he's just still a pure fan. I am going to have 7 rings.
Oh, he's got 7 rings. Now, normally I might say, you're just a fan, but he was in the owner's box with Bob Kraft this weekend.
He's a fan with access.
He might have 6, replica rings thrown his way. He might have he's
the Mike Lombardi ring.
He's claiming rings the same way Mike Lombardi claims rings. Let's be serious here. He's claiming rings at the same. He could write a book.
Yeah.
He should write a Football Genius book.
Right.
Cool. And Lombardi's only taken 3. Portnoy's got 6. 7 on the way.
7 on the way.
7 on the way. Portnoy should write a Football Genius book like Mike Lombardi did.
I forget what they call those rings. Just the fake ones that you get made up for anybody. Yeah. Maybe Portnoy's got more than Lombardi. If he does, he should really make a bigger thing of that.
I have a Super Bowl
twice the number of rings this guy has.
Yeah, he should. He should write the follow-up.
Where's my GM offer?
The Real Football Genius. Yes. The Real Football Genius by Dave Portnoy. 6 rings.
Yeah. I don't even really know the point he's making here. But
no, he's just being a Pats fan, saying Buffalo's cold and snowy. The Patriots are on their way back up, right? 8 wins over the last 2 seasons. They're already 8-2 this year. So Pats fans, they're back from the dead. Get the Undertaker meme. Undertaker sitting up in the casket. Right. Patriots fans are back. They're feeling the swag and everything, and Portnoy's running with it.
Yeah. He feels like someone that should have a lot of shouty takes. Like, he feels like he should be in this genre quite a lot, but I don't know that he actually is.
I'll tell you what. He's got a lot of shouty takes. But it's usually just, it's like, you're playing your shtick, right? Like, we're, title tally. Like, his rise to stardom coincided with an incredible 20-year run of success in Boston sports, which worked out well, right? You go from this sad city that can't, there's a lot of sad cities who can't win for a while, but Boston had a rough stretch, certainly with baseball, and all of a sudden the Red Sox win 4, the Celtics win now 2, Bruins, Patriots go on their run. It coincided with his rise, so he could be this brash, confident New England sports Boston supporter. And it worked out well. But those are his shouty takes are those.
Yeah.
The worst take he ever had while Portnoy's making his debut on the show. When he did his little pizza test. And he went to Santapio's in East Boston.
Yeah.
And he gave Santapio's like a C or a high 7, whatever it was, it was bad.
Okay.
And Lefty came out, Lefty's over there on the grill. Lefty came out and almost smacked him. Lefty was pissed.
Yeah.
And he, when Portnoy goes in and trashes Santapio's, the best pizza in the world, I don't think he knows what he's doing. So I think I throw out all of his pizza takes after he trashed Santapio's.
Well, he's got a very specific style of pizza that he likes. So it's strange because it's not like I'm judging the quality of the pizza. It's like I'm judging how close to a New Haven pizza that I like it is.
Yeah.
It's like that. Okay. Because we went to New Haven and we went to a couple of those places, the famous ones. And it was good, but Laura hates that type of pizza. So she's like, I hate this. So it's like,
you don't like Chicago?
Oh, that's not pizza for a start. Like, deep dish is not pizza. It's something else, and it's awful, but it's not pizza. But that's like, it would be like judging every, Chicago-style pizza as how close to a New Haven style is this. Well, not very, so I'm going to give it a 1. Like, well, it's not supposed to be.
Yeah, throw out his pizza takes if you want. Take him if you want, but he trashed my favorite place. Don't appreciate that. Don't appreciate it. Welcome, though, Portnoy, to the show. All right, let's go. We got a Browns Shouty Show take.
Ooh.
No rant. I got nothing for you. You're 2-7. You stink. Get them all out. Everybody. Andrew Berry, goodbye. I want everybody gone. And if you don't do it, I'm gonna make it my business to make your life miserable. If you don't have the guts to blow this horrific thing up, Jimmy Haslam, shame on you. Shame on you. It's time. No one's gonna blame you, bud. Promise. No one. You're not gonna lose anything. You're not gonna. Andrew's not going to just suddenly start making great deals and picking good players for another team. Don't worry about it. Get a football guy in here with a little analytics background and get an ass-kicking coach and let's go.
Tony Rizzo wants everybody gone.
Yeah.
Cleveland.
I mean, you could argue they already have all of those things. It's just that they kept screwing up quarterback because they made the worst personnel move in NFL history. But, like, The problem with that suggestion is that you've described Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski. And actually, if you look at his draft class this year, they all look good other than the quarterbacks yet, right? And we don't know about Shedeur because he hasn't seen the field yet. But, Schlesinger looks fantastic. Both rookie running backs look pretty good. Judkins looks like a bell cow. Dylan Sampson looks good every time he touches the ball. Harold Fannin has been a really important part of the offense. All that class looks really good. So he is making solid picks in large part. It's just that none of it matters if you don't have a quarterback. And, that was going to take some time because we got to go get a quarterback move put such a giant millstone around your neck that it's going to take some time to get away from the Deshaun Watson thing.
Yeah, so the problem with this is if you're Tony Rizzo, you're covering the Browns every single week and you're on radio, is you need to have some kind of opinion on what you just saw on Sunday. And the reason why you and I are stuck here on our show, not doing daily radio, is we probably couldn't muster up the energy to every Monday, Tuesday come in and be like, hey, I know we said it's a rebuild, but now I'm out. I just can't watch the rebuild. Coming into the season, that they're rebuilding and they're going to be bad.
Do you think that
what are the expectations?
We might get to this later, but this is an interesting thing where you can go into seasons knowing that the season will be bad, and then when it's bad, you're like, well, somebody's got to swing for this, right? We got to have consequences. This is unacceptable. It's like we all knew this was what was going to happen coming into the year. This was part of the plan, was for this to be bad this year. And now you're saying, oh, it was so bad that we've got to get rid of everybody.
Yeah. I was talking to an NFL executive this offseason who may have been in that type of situation. Right. It's we're not going to be great this year. And then
everyone buys in. It's like, okay, cool. That's the plan.
But then week 7 hits and week 10 hits, and you got to deal with the owner every single day, every single week, and explain. Now, the argument against Stefanski and the Browns, you lose to the Jets, right? So for all we're rebuilding, we're this, we're that, you lose to the Jets, and the way you lose to the Jets with giving up 2 special teams touchdowns, giving up 1 big pass play and nothing else, and then 2 bad penalties in crunch time. Not that it would have saved the game for you, but it was the procedural stuff. Those would be the arguments against Stefanski and the Browns. It's all right, hey, you might not have the talent. We're in transition with the quarterback and everything, but man, you just lost to a Jets team that just sent 2 of their best players out, and you lost in really bad fashion the way it went down. So from that standpoint, I kind of get it doesn't look great. But from I would just roll in every week, and from a big picture standpoint, be like, yeah, we know that they're a 3-win team. We know that that's what they are. That's the thing.
It's sure, that was a bad loss and a fairly inexcusable loss in general terms. But it's once you've made the decision that we are going to suck this year, does it really matter if the variance shows up the worst part of the variance shows up against the Jets in this? They also upset Green Bay in a game that wasn't you know what I mean? It evens out. You're supposed to be bad. You are bad. And you'll have a letdown game against a team like the Jets where you're supposed to be competitive and maybe get a win. But you'll also have the other end of the variance show up randomly throughout the season as well. You shouldn't, it just doesn't make any sense to be well, this game was unacceptable. It's but the season as a whole has gone exactly the way it was supposed to go, effectively. And so stick with it and don't make ridiculous knee-jerk decisions. Do you think that there's any significance to escalating this by saying, if he doesn't do this, I will make it my personal life mission to make Andrew Berry's life miserable? You don't tend to hear that from even the shoutiest.
He said that in the rant?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed
You don't tend to hear that from even the shoutiest of people.
Oh, yeah.
I will personally dedicate myself to making your life miserable.
This is why we're a good team. I try to criticize the content and the validity of it, and you get into the art of the take, right? You get into the take part of it. And so now he wants to make Andrew Berry's life miserable.
Well, that's a personal, level. You see, it's weird. This relationship between teams and the media, you from the outside assume that it's all adversarial and they must hate each other and blah, blah. And yet they all talk to each other on first name basis. And, when something tragic happens to a reporter, there's a nice little flowers left in a seat in the booth and that kind of thing, right? There's a weird sort of camaraderie there. Do you think that gets violated when one of them is saying, I will personally make it my life's mission to ruin your life if you don't fire somebody?
Yes.
Like Andrew Berry's not going, hey, giving Tom a nod and a wink the next time he sees him. It's like, son of a bitch.
It's such a fascinating. Do you remember the old commercials where it'd be like Peyton Manning at a grocery store and the fans would be like cheering? It was like him working at a grocery store. No, he was cheering for the people, like slicing deli meat or whatever.
Right.
Switching things up.
Yeah.
Saying, hey, if you could scream at me, why can't I scream at you at your job? Like there is that dynamic. And look, radio hosts, they get people screaming at them too. That's like what they foster that relationship.
Well, if we could get Brandon Bean on the show, we'll get some pushback.
But we need some Andrew Berry, apologist to be like, well, I'm going to make Tony Rizzo's life miserable on your show. I'm just going to, call and hang up nonstop on your show. Make you miserable now.
Andrew Berry stands fighting back.
Right?
Yeah.
We'll get some nerds fighting for the analytics folks over at the Browns. All right, had enough of that. Let's go Caleb Williams' take here.
I never abandoned Caleb. What did he prove? Is that the question?
Yeah.
That he is the one. He is the one. He is the answer to all I've wanted my entire life as a Bears fan. Yeah, what do you mean?
This is a huge change from 72 hours ago.
No, it isn't. As Nick said, logically, this is entirely consistent. The Bears, plenty of reason to doubt them. Caleb Williams, no. You needed to watch that game to fully understand that he was the best player on the team and the best player on the field. He was excellent yesterday. And once again, Caleb Williams was clutch. That is his fourth quarter comeback this year. And so there is something to a belief that your quarterback is going to actually come through when it matters most that I have literally never experienced, and all of Chicago hasn't experienced. So,
Danny Parkins.
Yeah.
On Caleb Williams.
We're working on getting him on the show at some point. He's replied to me. It's a little bit tricky because evidently he's part of the Shouty Show world. At the very minimum, the Shouty Show adjacent. And he's one of these. He's on a big enough entity where they have to get all their appearances cleared by corporate. And he's like, I don't know if corporate's going to love me going on a show, essentially mocking the Shouty Shows that I'm on. I'm like, yeah, I get that.
Danny knows what we do. He knows our work.
Well, he knows it because I was like, hey, do you want to rock up on the show and do Shouty Shows? Or
Nick Wright had no problem.
I think there's certain people that are, once they get to a level, they don't have to clear it. I don't know where that level is. I don't know how you get there. But evidently Danny is not at that level and Nick is.
I want only people that can clear it themselves.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, that makes it
no
easier. Anyway, we're working
No
on
offense
it.
to Danny.
We might get...
So Caleb Williams, I think he does these hardcore
he's a Bears
defenses
fan.
of Justin Herbert, too. That's part of the shtick.
But he's from, his
Bears guy, yeah.
Previous gig was in Chicago. I don't want to name the station in case I get the wrong one, but he was on a Chicago radio station for years. So, that's instructive or informative.
He was on 670 The Score.
Good, there you go.
Per our Bears insiders.
Yeah, I thought that, but I didn't want to say the wrong one.
Understood.
Drop it.
Understood.
If you're a Bears fan, you literally have not really had a good quarterback in the modern era. It's not, you can't say they've never had one because you go back far enough, you get one. But you have to go back so far that the one that you had, his statistics don't register as impressive anymore. So you can basically just say they've never had a good quarterback. And that means that the second you get the glimmer of life from any quarterback, you're going to be like, he's the guy, right? We went through it with Trubisky. Trubisky was playing like crap, and Bears fans saw a couple of glimmers of hope, and they're like, no, he's the guy, right? They were giving the same stuff that Bills fans were giving for Josh Allen, only their guy didn't work out ever.
Right.
That's the problem with this. And as Nick said, this is a pretty different opinion than you had 72 hours ago, right? Because you won a good game. You're like, that's it. That's all I need to see. He's my guy.
I will say the part of the actual opinion that I agree with, I see Caleb Williams trending in the right direction. I think the game on Sunday, I don't think he got sacked, or he got sacked only once. And I posted the clip or retweeted the clip of Darnell Wright getting whooped and Caleb Williams getting out of that and turning it into a completion. Like, there are some parts of his game, I think, that are really coming along. And then those 2 long runs, the last one being the game winner, unbelievable speed to the edge. Like, Caleb Williams is one of the fastest quarterbacks in the league. And that's not the only thing that you care about, but his ability to use his legs the way he has and some of the throws that he's making, like, it's starting to come together.
Yeah.
Reasons for optimism. But we had reasons for optimisms for Caleb, every 4 weeks last year. So,
I mean, that was an impressive game. It was one game, and it was against the Giants, who have collapsed multiple times already this season. So it's like, yeah, I'm definitely interested. My interest is piqued, but let's wait a little while before we say he is the one, right? He's not Anakin Skywalker. Like, we've anointed him as the guy. He's going to bring balance to the Force.
We have. We all have.
I mean, you have your Bears fan, but I think the rest of us might wait.
Over a decade doing this, all of our analysis is just being like slow to have it. Let's just wait. I was thinking about it the other day. I've been too slow in many ways, because now people are like, I mean, I'm fast. Like, I burnt you for a deep ball that one time.
That wasn't
I've
speed,
got speed.
But sure.
I'm slow to adjust. Mac Jones has had strung together some good games with Kyle Shanahan. Everybody's like, flip him for a 2. Mac Jones got a job in the league next year. And I'm just like, after 6 games with Kyle Shanahan, you're just like, no, flip him for a 2. Somebody's going to be knocking at the door with a 2 from Mac Jones. No questions asked.
I think this is a hard thing because, we all know, like, the best thing you can do is tap the brakes and wait a while and see how it plays out. But you can't do that in the NFL because you only have, 17 games in a season. You only have a very short period of time to show anything before people start pushing you to do other things. So, we had this conversation with the go for 2 thing. Like, when do you have enough math to change your opinion, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, by the time you even work that out, if you waited, it's too late to gain any advantage for it because everyone's moved now. So you almost have to jump before you have an appropriate amount of information to get any benefit from it in the first place. And the same thing I think is true with player evaluation. Like, there are guys that come along who look absolutely amazing, and you can tell from like day one that they're a star, right? But how do you differentiate those guys from the guys who just have a good run? I don't know that there's any way. Like, J.J. Watt, right? It was very clear very early that J.J. Watt was going to be a completely insane, difference-making player, like a Hall of Famer and one of the greatest players to ever live. But how early into his career could you have, like, confidently declared that and really been, like, very confident that it's not going to reverse and he'll just go back? It was just a good run.
Or even bring up the name Reggie White. Like, this reminds me of Reggie White. This reminds me of Bruce Smith, right? Keep naming those names. This reminds me of insert great player
but
here.
Like, you could have declared that Sam Darnold was current version Sam Darnold 4 times already in his career, right? Based off 3 or 4 game sample sizes, and then every single time it reverted. So, like, like last year, how far into last year did you have to go before you're like, he's different. He's not going to. And then the final 2 games, he crapped himself. It's like there's no point in which you can declaratively go, I know that this is what he is now.
Yeah, that's where I'm slow to adjust. And maybe I'm wrong. Like, I did the same thing with Ryan Tannehill. Remember when he went on that multiple-year run with Tennessee?
Yeah.
Played great football that was way more efficient, way better than what he did with the Dolphins. And I was slow to be like, wait and see on Tannehill, wait and see on Tannehill. I'm wait and see on Darnold, wait and see on Geno Smith and Baker Mayfield with the Bucs run. And then you get to this point where it's like, if someone asked you Sam Darnold versus C.J. Stroud, for instance, like, who's a better quarterback? There's a big part of me that's like, well, Stroud did it in year 1 as a rookie at an extremely high level. Hasn't really reached that yet, but he did it so early, whereas Darnold took forever. But, man, Darnold's peak has been outstanding, like a big chunk of his Minnesota time and now what he's done in Seattle. So if you're saying who's better in a theoretical sense, not who's playing better right now, I don't know what the best answer is. Yeah. Like, who would you rather have for the next 5 years, Sam Darnold or C.J. Stroud? My initial instinct is to say Stroud because he's younger and did it earlier, but Darnold might just be what he is at this point, which is really good, and he's playing like a top 3 quarterback in the NFL right now, and maybe that's what he is. He's a top 8 guy going forward, and we have to completely forget everything that happened early in his career.
I mean, there's like 2 different elements to it. There's number one, even being able to identify what a guy is at all, right? Because there's so many confounding variables all the time, the supporting cast, everything. So having any idea what a guy is at any point in their career is difficult, I think, and people just assume it isn't. We know what this guy is one way or the other. And yeah, if you've changed 2 or 3 things, he's just a completely different player. So there's that part of it. And then there's okay, let's assume for a minute everybody is just a static baseline of this. Being able to differentiate between when this guy is a really good or really bad in either direction and when this is just variance in football. And I don't know how early you can do that and have any degree of confidence in being right. But what I do know is that when you can do that is almost certainly longer than when the Shouty Show people who think you can do that, i.e. one game.
We're going to be talking. We'll be talking Brock Purdy a little bit later. Maybe touch on the Mac Jones discussion at that time as well, because he's playing well. Might have a QB controversy for the 49ers there. All right, we got one more Shouty Show, which will bring us into our next segment in a minute here. Let's go with a Giants take here.
Does anybody in that building have a clue? Are there too many yes men over there? What are you guys doing? What are you watching? How can Mara come to this conclusion again? Based on what? Joe Shane shouldn't have that much power, BT, to do what to do what you're saying that he did.
Yep.
As far as kicking Daboll out the door, I'm not sure whether he did or didn't. It shouldn't come down to that. How could everybody in that building come to the agreement that Joe Shane is the guy that they're going to attach their wagon to? How? There's no way. You want to say that it's split? Okay, then there should be split and then maybe wait until the end of the year and try to figure out what the options are. How can you come to that conclusion based off of what we have seen for 4 years? It makes no sense. And this is an organization that has been one of the most pathetic organizations in the NFL for decades now, or at least a decade. And they keep doing the same thing. It's infuriating.
Wow, it doesn't get much shoutier than that.
It's louder and louder in my ear here.
Actual shouty.
Just respond to the art of the take. The content we'll have plenty of time to break down in our next segment, talking about Daboll and the Giants.
I feel like, so my neighbor sent me an alternative version of this. There was another, New York media market shouting, ranting about Daboll, et cetera. I feel like the entire New York market below the level of like national, superstars are just like Mad Dog cosplayers. Is that the way this works? Like all these people are trying to be, well, he got huge doing this, so I'm just going to shout at all times. That's the way to do it.
New York, Boston, Philadelphia radio is some level of
Mad Dog impersonators.
Yeah. First response is anger to everything.
Right.
You're telling me we're doing Christmas with presents now?
Yeah.
You want presents too? You just get mad at everything.
At everything.
You're telling me Santa Claus is going to drop off presents? I can't have that.
Nah.
Just mad.
Yeah. I mean, that was loud and shouty the
whole
way.
Those are the 3 cities, Boston, Philly, and New York, where that's the
I mean, they're the ones that you would, if you're, even just from the
maybe
outside.
Maybe Cleveland, just the Browns.
Just the Browns will do that to you. Just from the outside, you would rank those 3 cities as amongst the angriest, If you're which city do you think of as just being more pissed off than other cities? Those 3.
Just the Northeast Corridor.
Yeah, but not all of it. Like, there are other cities up there that you don't immediately associate with angry people. But those 3 you definitely do.
Yeah, you do. So we'll break down all the Giants stuff in a minute here. We're going to take a quick break to talk about today's sponsor, IM8, which I'm drinking throughout the show here. Hard to keep up with every NFL game, as we have to do. Lose track of sleep, go live at 7 a.m. every Monday. Hard to keep those energy levels up, but that's where IM8's daily ultimate essentials come in. It's a daily all-in-one wellness drink that gives my body the support it needs, Sam, while juggling a bunch of different supplements. Co-founded by David Beckham, crafted with insight from experts from the Mayo Clinic, Cedars-Sinai, and a former NASA chief scientist, simplifies your wellness routine and makes it easier to support your health. This drink is loaded with 92 nutrient-rich ingredients and is designed to help you feel good from the inside out. What makes IM8 stand out is how it combines science with nature. So they use effective ingredients and back them with research. Plus, it's been through clinical trials where 95% of participants felt more energetic and 85% said their digestion improved. It's vegan, gluten-free, non-GMO. It's NSF certified, so don't have to worry about it. It means all the ingredients are third-party tested for purity. You can feel confident about what you put into your body, making it a solid choice if you're focused on your health.
Plus, I can only assume. I mean, David Beckham he's 50, and he's shredded. Still has a full head of hair. Still looks, super handsome. I mean, he's everything you want to be at 50. We're none of those things.
Jump to whatever conclusion you want with that. It's got to be all the IM8. So it's part of my wellness routine. Add it to yours as well. Feel your best self every day with IM8. Go to im8health.com/CTM and use code CTM for a free welcome kit, 5 free travel sachets, plus 10% off your order. That's IM8, HEALTH.com/CTM. Code is CTM for a free welcome kit. The 5 free travel sachets plus 10% off your order. im8health.com/CTM. Code CTM. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
That's Sir David Beckham, as Nico in the chat suggests. He's got knighted recently.
Oh, well, good. Is that disrespectful if you don't add the sir there?
At least lacking protocol, I think. I don't know if it's outright disrespect, unless you're consciously doing it, Like, you're Sir David Beckham, but I'm specifically not going to call you that because,
Very insulting.
Yeah.
While we're here, too, I'm going to tell you about FanDuel. New offer for NFL fans you don't want to miss. New customers can bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if you win, even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand. FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. However you want to play, now's the perfect time to join because FanDuel is giving new customers $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet hits. So, you visit FanDuel.com/33rd. You can download the FanDuel app today and get started. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino or 18 plus present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit FanDuel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-832-75050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Today, looking forward to Thursday Night Football, aren't you? Patriots and Jets going with a Drake May prop bet here, Sam. Over under 23.5 rushing yards for Drake May against the Jets.
I'm always on the over with quarterback rushing props, no matter what the number is. Always over. That's one scramble for Drake May.
It
one
is.
Good scramble.
I'm in the under category here because again, I'm thinking about game flow. I'm thinking the Patriots should be up by 2 scores early.
Sure.
I'm also about 10 straight Thursday night games. Like, how many Thursday night games have we had pretty significant favorites? Broncos last week. You had with the Steelers, pretty big, 5-6 point favorites over the Bengals. We've had a lot of touchdown plus favorites on Thursday Night Football that have not worked out. Niners, Rams. And so, but I'll fall into the trap again. I'm assuming the Patriots get up early and don't have to, Drake May throws the ball away instead of scrambling. Saves himself.
He's like, he hasn't got to that part yet. He's just still out there on instinct.
And I don't, they haven't done a whole lot of design run game with Drake May, so it'd have to be from a scramble perspective.
Yep.
The Jets do play some man coverage, though. That's when you get a few more QB runs. But I'll go with the under on this one for Drake May. You're going over.
Yep.
All right, there you go. FanDuel.com. Go check it out. Time for the Wednesday update.
Now it's time for the Wednesday update, brought to you by the Cincinnati Bugler.
And we're starting with where the Shouty Shows left off. The New York Giants have fired Brian Daboll, head coach, 2-8 this season, his 4th year as head coach. Joe Schoen, the general manager, as Sal so beautifully articulated. Joe Schoen will remain the general manager. What's most interesting about this to me is that they came in together, Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll. So the reason why Giants fans and or media might be upset, it's like these two were tied at the hip, which I generally like as an organizational strategy. You bring the GM and the head coach in together. They work together. They have to be best buds in building this thing. Don't have to be. They just have to have the best working relationship, right? And so when it doesn't go well, how do you split the blame? And the Giants have decided to split the blame and say, Daboll's out, Joe Schoen is in, and Joe Schoen will also be leading the next head coaching.
They decided to split the blame by being 100% on Daboll and 0% on Schoen. If you were an owner, would you then? So if you bring it, would you always couple GM to head coach and have them as a package deal, come what may?
I mean, they don't all have to be coming in at the same year. I think the problem will arise when it's like how badly staggered it is. I mean, it's a different situation in, say,
because it used to kind of be. It's become more of a package deal now, but it used to be the case where, you had a GM and he was like your head football dude, and that guy would hire a succession of coaches, come what may. Like the head coach would be the guy who took the blame for when things didn't work, and then the GM would just go out there and get the next guy, and that was the gig, right? But you had total confidence in the GM as the sort of the director of football, if you like, of the franchise. Now it's kind of like these kind of guys split responsibilities. They're often tied at the hip anyway, and it's become, I think, more difficult to figure out who's to blame for all this, and it ends up being just an office politics gig where it's like the GM has an easier task of basically convincing the owner. Owner comes in eventually pissed off, and it's like, look, something's got to change. And the GM basically just has an easier job of convincing the owner, well, the thing that's got to change is the head coach. It's not me.
So, yeah, it's an interesting discussion as you talk through that, Sam, thinking about my issue is when you have a GM who's like, say, 2 years ahead of the head coach or vice versa, especially a head coach, when they just have different goals. We brought this up at the beginning of the season. I'm not saying we predicted this, but I'm sure you could go back and we at least painted the picture of the Giants are 2-8. I may have used that exact record, right? You looked at their schedule, said there's a point where the Giants are 2-8, and the way I would have said it was, okay, Jackson Dart hasn't started yet, and then Daboll saying, I got to save my job, let's get Jackson Dart in there. Now, that happened weeks earlier.
Yeah.
But that's part of the problem is when either guy is on the hot seat or it's iffy about whether or not they're going to be around, and they start to make decisions for the organization that aren't good. So did that happen, right? Did Daboll do that and run Dart and blah, 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 whatever it might be? But how do you separate that from Shane? My only issue is when you have different goals from the front office and the head coach. That is more clear when they're in at different times. But if they come in together, maybe it's just as prevalent. Because if they come in together, you might have the same politicking, as you said, right? You still have to go to the owner and be like, look, I know we haven't won a whole lot of games over the last 4 years, but it's definitely the coach's fault, not mine. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's inevitable just because they have different jobs that they have slightly different, goals in play. Like the coach's goal is always to win next week. The owner or the general manager's goal might be a more longer-term view of the whole thing. So part of the relationship always has to be getting those two people on the same page, or at least to some kind of compromise where they're pulling in the same vague direction, if not exactly the same target. I think that's just inevitable with the two positions being different. The thing that's interesting to me here, number one, by the way, I'm upset that I posted a funny video of, like, remember when Brian Daboll got hired and there was that ridiculous video where he rolls in his truck and waddles towards the building in his suit and his little briefcase, and like the whole thing was pretty ridiculous.
Someone put it to like Matlock music or whatever it was at the time.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy at the time. It went pretty viral. So I was like, well, it would be quite funny if you took that video and just reversed it. Brian Daboll walking out of the building backwards into his truck and driving off. And I spent a concerning amount of time on my phone video editing that, because it's apparently not that easy on a phone, and tweeted it out. And I'm like, I know that this will not do anything. It's just not going to do numbers because I put effort into it. And it's nobody.
I thought it was
watched
funny.
it.
You should retweet.
It was funny.
Retweet
and nobody,
yourself.
No, I can't do that.
You can retweet
You just got to accept. It's one
like
of those
a little
things.
nudge. It's a reminder. I did this funny thing a couple days ago. Maybe it didn't get your feed the right way. Maybe it's for you didn't pick it up.
It's one of those things where it's funny and people they don't respect the joke, right? That's fine.
Did you A/B tested on Blue Sky? Did it catch up somewhere else?
I didn't do that. I should do that.
Anyway, it won't work.
So I'm upset by that. But the interesting thing to me is, why do it now? Why do it mid-season? Like, okay.
I think the concussions are the biggest driver. I think the Jackson Dart injuries are the biggest driver.
And that's the thing. So this is where it gets interesting, because we already had this discussion when he was still in the job, which is you now have this difficult tension between Like, apparently, we were confused, or at least I was, when Jackson Dart started getting, like, his first start, and they deployed him like Tim Tebow. It's like you're going to run the ball. It's going to be like power football up the middle, and then occasionally you'll attempt to pass. And you're like, what? What did you see in his college tape that made you think that this guy was a Tim Tebow-esque rushing threat in the NFL? It seemed crazy to me. And then the more you've seen him play, it's like he's actually... I mean, he might be onto something. He is a way more dynamic and difficult to stop rushing threat than I gave him credit for as a prospect, as a draft prospect. But running him like that has now led to being evaluated for concussion 4 separate times already. That's a problem. But how do you square that with the idea that, well, apparently everyone overlooked this fact that he's Tim Tebow who can pass, right? So you've got this difficult dynamic now. If we've stumbled onto a really dynamic rushing threat at quarterback, but apparently running him like that is getting him concussed every 6 minutes. So what do? You just abandon the fact that he's able to do that and say, well, you can't do that anymore because it's getting you hurt? I think that's a difficult position to be in. And every coach of a quarterback that has that potential, right, the rushing element to his game, has to figure that out. And I think to a degree it's easier with quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson, who are elusive rather than power runners, where you can just say, look, do what you do, but the second there's any contact imminent, hit the turf. I think that's an easier thing than having a guy whose primary selling point is actually some power to his running game. And that's where the Giants were. Now, it seems crazy to me that Daboll was so desperate to save his job that he was like throwing his quarterback out there in this role that was definitely getting him hurt at a point like where no one else is on board, right? Like everyone else out here going, for the love of God, protect him. And you're like, no, send him into the breach. That I would be amazed if that was what was happening.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be that specific.
Like Daboll's out there, Ivan Drago style, going, if he dies, he dies, but he's winning the game.
No, I mean, I think it doesn't have to be like that. I think it's more likely, hey, what does this guy do well? We're trying to win the game on Sunday. And look, there was a point you could easily paint this picture with the Giants if they don't have these second half collapses against the Broncos. That's
the thing. See, this is what I think prompted this. Is eventually like that stat we read out Monday that they had a 95% chance of winning three of these games and lost all of them, and the chances of that happening are like 1 in 60,000. Those are the types of numbers that make an owner go, something has to change. And I don't care what it is, figure it out amongst yourselves, but someone's head's got to roll. That's what happens. That's where, whoever that guy rocked up was like, this is the thing. Or with this Rizzo, the one game, right? This game, something's got to change at the end of this. I don't care that I'm reading out a list of things that actually are in the favor of the people I'm talking about firing. This game individually was so bad, people have got to get fired.
And I've seen that argument made by people. I don't know where most Giants fans land on Shane, Daboll, what they want, whatever. I've seen that argument made. Joe Shane's built the team to have a fourth quarter lead. He's built the team to have, they're 2-8. What if they were 5-4? Well, 5-5. 5-5 after a slow start. They have 10 games.
What's the point you're making? What if they were better?
No, I'm saying if they didn't have the collapse.
Oh, if they hadn't lost 3 games that they should have won.
If they didn't have the collapses and they're sitting here at 5-5 instead of 2-8, you could say, all right, this team's coming up, and the roster's better, and the quarterback's elevating them, and things are moving in the right direction. And you certainly wouldn't blame the GM for that. You would say you did the hockey stick, right? You went down so you can come back up again, right? Like the business terms, right? We got rid of a bunch of veterans. Now we've got this core nucleus that we're building around. But I think it's both sides, right? It's the coaching issue, fourth quarter, blowing those leads, but also probably a roster issue as well.
But I think that's what prompted the move now. I don't really understand why you would fire a guy midseason unless the locker room's gone, the whole thing is a disaster. You have to do something. I don't think that's the case with the Giants at all. So I don't really understand why you would do it now, other than Mara effectively looked at that same number on Monday that everyone else did and was like, I can't have that. Like, something's got to change. And, the thing that's got to change is apparently the coach as opposed to the general manager. So I think that part is strange. Why you fire him now, I don't really see any purpose to that. The keeping Shane part is interesting because basically throughout his entire tenure, you've been able to say, you can construct an argument for Shane, you can construct an argument against him. Like, it's been pretty easy in either direction for the whole way. And even now, you can say, look, there's some good things, right? Like, Abdul Carter looks like a superstar. That defensive line, it's got some insane talent. There's a lot of things that he's done. In all of this, you've got, remember, they are currently operating without a running back that looked pretty good as a rookie, without their wide receiver one. They're missing some very important players to this team, which is part of why they're not winning these games. On the other hand, there still seems to be quite a lot of lacking talent on this team in just several areas. Plus, the way, even however fake or otherwise this was, the Hard Knocks thing effectively threw all the credit to Jackson Dart in the direction of Brian Daboll. So that would be a big thing if you're trying to be like, if you're in the pro Joe Shane camp, you would be like, well, he's, Abdul Carter looks like a home run. Look at the way he maneuvered the draft for Jackson Dart, and he looks like a star. This is all good GM stuff. You're like, yeah. However, you specifically publicly threw all the credit for Jackson Dart in the direction of Brian Daboll, who you just marched out of the building. It's like, it's difficult to then take credit for that and be like, this is why he should still be here.
I want to answer both sides of that with Shane, because I do feel like there's plenty of, he did this well, yeah, but.
Yeah.
Or he didn't do this particularly well, yeah, but. Like, there's both sides of it with Shane. Did he publicly give Daboll the credit for Jackson Dart, the way you just said, or are you talking about the videos that were posted?
It was in the Hard Knocks thing. I mean, he didn't come out after. I don't think.
I've seen the Hard Knocks videos, and my warning to you and everyone is that that's reality television.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Right? But reality television.
But my point is,
tells stories.
Yes.
Whether they're the right stories or not. Reality television takes people's reactions and just like superimpose them into places where they weren't real. Just saying, that's reality TV. The way it was positioned was Joe Shane kind of playing a little devil's advocate, like, if you really want him, we'll do. It's a bold move. And I don't think that's like, man, I can't believe you're twisting my arm here to go get this guy Dart. But that's the way the captions are going, right?
Yeah.
People put the caption out to the video, and the caption says, Joe Shane was pissed that he had to go get, Brian Daboll's guy. Look at Joe Shane, not a believer in Jackson Dart. Only Daboll was the one standing on the table for him. When all they're seeing is like a 15-second clip of the final piece of the decision, which took hours and hours and hours of discussion. And Joe Shane could have been like, oh, yeah, absolutely. I would take Cam Ward 1 and Jackson Dart 2. Now, that was the one thing that they did show again. He made one last call to the Titans about Cam Ward. He made one last call because they had an offer on the table for Cam Ward and the Titans. So I think you could jump to the conclusion and
having tried to go up the year before as well.
And he tried to get Drake Maye the year before, right? So you could jump to the conclusion and say they liked Cam Ward far better than everyone else in this draft.
Right. Which
you could
now,
also,
which everyone did, but now isn't looking great.
Yeah, fine. I mean, like Brian Daboll may have liked Cam Ward. More than Jackson Dart.
Everybody did. Right.
Right. If Joe, listen, let me just finish really quick. If Joe Shane was making a power move to go get Cam Ward at 1, it wasn't against Daboll's wishes. It wasn't like Daboll's like, no, Dart's the guy. And Joe Shane's like, no, I'm going to get Cam because it's all me. Like, they probably came to that conclusion together. So it's not like Shane drafted Jackson Dart against his own will, and it was all Brian Daboll. So, but my warning to people is that's how it gets positioned based off of one video clip and everybody's, interpretation through captions that go viral.
Yeah. The point, though, is that in this set of circumstances, it doesn't matter whether it was real or not. The point is the public interpretation, the public view of that dynamic is that Daboll was the guy driving that decision. Whether or not that's true is irrelevant. The point is you have already at least endorsed by the fact that you did the show, whether or not it's accurate or not, you've at least endorsed this public view that Brian Daboll was the reason that Jackson Dart is in New York. So you then can't publicly try and take credit for that because the credit has already gone somewhere else. So that's the issue with that, is that the Giants can't use that as a reason to keep Joe Schoen, right? If you were there trying to justify why is this guy, like to Sal, if you were trying to fight back PR-wise to Sal, why is he still in the job? Well, Sal, look, Jackson Dart's here. He's a really good quarterback. We're trying to protect him from the coach who's trying to get him killed. The nucleus is here. Joe Schoen's done a great job. You can't do that and use Jackson Dart as a reason for Sal, because Sal will come back and say, Jackson Dart was Daboll's guy. You've shown it yourself by putting out this show that shows Daboll was the guy driving the decision. So whether or not behind the scenes it was collaborative and they were all on the same page and even Shane was driving it and they just stitched it together, the one like beat of question he had, doesn't really matter. The point is the public view of that decision now, all the credit goes to Brian Daboll. So you can't use that as a reason that Shane hasn't gone with him.
Yeah, I get it. And then my very logical self, Sam, would say it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because, I'm always back on this. There's no great QB evaluators. So it doesn't matter that he was Daboll's guy and that Daboll had the keen eye for Jackson Dart. It doesn't matter. It actually doesn't mean that he's the best coach for him, right? Because those are two different things. If you identify Jackson Dart and you hit on the player, that doesn't mean that Daboll's the best coach to then bring him through the next few years. It also doesn't necessarily matter that Joe Schoen wasn't the guy that was pounding the table for Jackson Dart. It matters a little bit that they got him because that is his job. They traded not a whole lot to come up into the first round and get him. And again, I said it on Monday, but I like the way Todd McShay laid this out even before the draft. Right, there were rumblings that this is Daboll's guy. They really want Jackson Dart, and McShay was saying, "Okay, that doesn't mean you take him at 3.
Right,
your job is to then maneuver the draft,"
which they did.
And so I think there's two things true here. I don't think you deserve a ton of credit for drafting Abdul Carter in a vacuum. He was the clear top player on the board. You drafted the expectation at 3, but you probably deserve some credit for getting Abdul Carter and then getting Jackson Dart, assuming both continue on the same trajectory. That is a good job by Joe Schoen, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like every time I say, well, is the team worse than when they took it over? You could make that argument, but are they like on the way up in a better way with Malik Neighbors and with Abdul Carter, with Jackson Dart? Yeah, you would say that. It's actually I would say an attractive job because of some of the building blocks. The argument against Schoen would be if you were just drafting off a consensus board, you would take Malik Neighbors at 6, right, after your failed Drake May trade-up attempt. You would take Abdul Carter at 3 after your failed Cam Ward trade-up attempt, right? You did the status quo essentially,
right?
But because you were picking in the top 10, you got some really good players there, and that's the expectation when you're drafting.
I mean, I think the problem is that it's too easy to construct the argument in either direction for him everywhere. Like that draft in 2024 looks spectacular. Malik Neighbors looks like a superstar. Tyler Newbin, Andrew Phillips, Theo Johnson, Tyron Tracy. Those guys are all making impacts for a team. That's an amazing draft. This year's draft looks spectacular. Abdul Carter, Jackson Dart, Jaire Alexander, Scattaboo, Marcus Bowe. Again, all sort of useful contributing players. And even if you say, okay, he was hired in like January 2022, so the 2022 draft is somebody else's board effectively, I think that's a reasonable way of doing it for a lot of these situations. I mean, January, whatever. Let's say, for the sake of argument, we dismiss 2022, so he doesn't get the blame for
those are two consensus picks.
Sure,
as well.
But let's just say you don't get any blame for Evan Neal. Let's just take away that draft for the sake of argument. 2023, not good at all. Deonte Banks looks like a bust, effectively. John Michael Schmitz hasn't worked out as an interior offensive line pick. Jalen Hyatt, disaster right now, albeit third-round disaster, like limited, you know what I mean? Point is, that's a complete wash as a draft. So it's like even you want to say, 2024 rather, is really, really good. The year before that was a train wreck. So you can't, like, everything he's done for his entire tenure, it's like there's a good thing, there's a bad thing.
Mid.
Yeah, and if you can say that about a guy everywhere, it's probably fair to say he's not doing a great job.
So that's where we are. I was asked by New York media about a lot of this, and of course had some long-winded answers. And one of the questions was, I'll just give you this. One of the questions was, should he be the guy to find the next head coach. And the argument against is, well, he was, him and Daboll worked together with the Bills. So it's just like picking the next. For me, it's just like picking the next quarterback, right? The analyst in me is like, it's only if you missed on one doesn't mean you'll miss on the next one.
Well, that's in fact, with Joe Schoen, that's exactly the reason you give him this one, right? You made a mess of the last one, but your entire career is doing one thing wrong and one thing right. So by definition, this one's going to be right.
It's going to be right.
The other thing is, remember in the sort of pre-draft videos and stuff, they had this video of Joe Schoen asking his son who he wanted. And Joe Schoen's son wanted Jaden Daniels and Drake May. If you can't get, fine. He was like, his own son, I forget what age he is, but like not old. Like if he's in the teens, it's early teens. And he was basically like, look, sack up and go get Jaden Daniels. Like you're only going to have this job once. Like grow some balls and go get it done, right? It was effectively his son's advice to his dad. And it turned out he may have been dead on. And then he was like, look, if you can't get Jaden Daniels, then Drake May. And so his son appears to have been the single smartest quarterback analyst in that entire draft. That's, I think, the order that I would have them in at the moment. And his son predicted that. I'm deathly curious who his son wants as the new head coach. Have we considered the fact that Joe Schoen's son might simply be the greatest football mind out there? I need to know what's his short list.
Yeah, we'll have to find out. Again, what if Joe Schoen's quarterback rankings were perfect that year? He just couldn't get the deal done.
Yeah.
This is why I bring up a million times, I don't care about people's quarterback rankings. I don't care if you hit on this one quarterback. Joe Schoen could have had the quarterbacks ranked. And by the way,
and the Drake May
Caleb Williams is on the come up. But he may have thought Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Drake May are all potential top 10 quarterbacks. Guys, I would trade up to get them. Those are my QBs. They're in a whole different tier than Bo Nix, Michael Penix, and J.J. McCarthy, and it's clear as day, and this is our board. And maybe they even had Jaden 1 or Drake May 1, and they're going to look like super geniuses because they were bold, and they had one of those guys over Caleb Williams, which was the consensus. Maybe that was the case. But we'll never really know. And we only, his son knew, but Joe Schoen may have too. He may have been like, he had the same board as his son. But he just couldn't do the deal because New England didn't want to move. And certainly Washington wouldn't want to move in the division and give up Jaden Daniels. So if no one wants to move, it doesn't matter about your quarterback rankings.
I mean, that's the big thing is they seem to have tried extremely hard to get Drake May and couldn't get a deal done. Like imagine what the story looks like if instead the Giants had drafted Drake May when that draft rolled around and let's just say he had the same development arc here and who the hell knows. But if that had been the case, we would probably be, number one, Brian Daboll is not fired. But we're probably talking about a completely different dynamic and viewpoint of the entire New York Giants franchise based off something the GM was trying to get done. And simply the other team, it takes two to make a deal, and the other side was like, nah.
Yeah, and you could say, well, that's his fault for failing, but it's like, all right, I don't know what.
There's only so much you can do.
Yeah, I don't know what New England's going to do. Like, New England doesn't want just a receiver.
Right,
they
it's like rocking up to
quarterback.
somebody and I want to buy your car. And they're like, no. They're like, well, if you need, I'm blaming the guy for just not going high enough, right? But at some point, it stops making any sense. I want to buy your car. It's not for sale. Well, what if I gave you $50,000? It's not for sale. $100,000. Like at some point, that becomes an idiotic deal.
Oh, it's still not for sale. I think they showed him walking into the Patriots box at the scouting combine.
Yeah.
Being like, hey, let's talk. He's trying to get up to 3. And then they got Malik Neighbors instead, and you get the quarterback a year later. So it may have, if Dart's as good as he's shown in flashes here, maybe it works out fine for the Giants and Joe Schoen. Anyway, some of the fallout here with Jackson Dart likely still going to be still in concussion protocol. Jameis Winston has been elevated to the number 2 quarterback spot for the Giants, which means he's probably in line to start this weekend. So we'll break that down in more depth tomorrow on the preview show, but it's exciting for Jameis fans like us.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was saying before, the Jameis experience has been a little disappointing recently. I would love for him to just one game, just go out there and high-end Jameis for one game.
I disagree. I think the Jameis, we've been living the Jameis experience through Jackson Dart. I think he inspired the Rook to get out there and be aggressive. Maybe that's the problem. Like the dude's not sliding because of Jameis.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, Jameis has now become the the parent living vicariously through their child.
That's exactly what it is. Hey, do you ever think? And plus, even more so, he's like, I can't run like you can. Man, if I had your wheels, I'd run 10 times a game. Mm-hmm. And you know what? Never slid in my life. I'm a baseball player, but I don't slide. If I had your kind of power, I'd lower my shoulder, pick up 3 more yards.
Jameis scrambling is still one of the funniest, craziest things you'll ever see.
Yeah. He's an outfielder, too. Slow-footed outfielder. Other news around anything else on the Giants?
No.
A lot. Good discussion. Good times. Other news around the NFL. We'll go through all of it. I want to go Travis Hunter next. Can I go out of order? Season-ending knee surgery, LCL repair. What do you think about his LCL?
What do I think about his LCL?
Son of doctors. What are your thoughts on the LCL repair?
Well, also, he did that in practice. Remember, he came out of the game, or he came out of a game where he had a impressive performance, and then on a Thursday, he did his knee apparently in practice. I don't know what he did to do that.
I had a fear. I mean, at this time of the year, the fear is it's season ending.
Yeah, and it was like an instant IR. It was like
instant IR made me think, okay, maybe it's for the season. I know there were some people saying, no, back in 4 weeks, but man, you don't go instant IR if you know he's coming back in exactly 4, unless you know he's coming back in exactly 4. I don't know. So it's sad. I like watching Travis Hunter play and just the whole wide receiver cornerback thing and seeing how that played out. So you lose half a season to that. It also shows the risk of putting all your eggs in the one player basket.
There was multiple. He's such an interesting player because of this unique two-way thing that he's trying to do, and the fact that the team that drafted him is like 100% on board with that, and not just that, but valued it incredibly highly based off the trade that they made. There's the first element, which is, can you even do that? Can you even be good enough for it to be a positive thing for playing both ways of the ball? And then there's the other side, which is it possible from a physical standpoint? Are you simply able to do that on a durability level at the NFL level, or are you just doubling the chances of getting injured, which means you're having the time you're going to go between injuries, and this is the inevitable consequence of that. Now, again, we've been doing this long enough to know that some guys can just get hurt. It's a freak injury, and then you're never hurt again, right? And you just carry on. There are other guys that get hurt all the time, and that's the thing. If you were one of those people that were like, it doesn't matter if he can do it, if he can play at a high level playing wide receiver or cornerback, you simply can't do it from a durability standpoint. If you're one of those people, you're taking victory laps right now. Told you, it's not possible. This is crazy. Why would you give up all that to go get Travis Hunter when he's going to spend half his time on IR, right? If you're that person, that's the case you're making right now. And I think that's unfortunate because I don't know whether that's true or not, but I don't want it to be true.
Yeah, I don't want it to be true either. I mean, the other part of it is we always talked about the positives of he fills 2 spots on your depth chart. What if he fails at one spot, then he lands at the other one? What if a bunch of corners get hurt and all of a sudden he just plays more corner than receiver? All of the flexibility that he brings you from a roster perspective, but then you lose that level of flexibility if that one man gets hurt. So, yeah, we'll see how this ends up, but we'll have to wait another year to watch Travis Hunter play football.
It's the worst outcome for the Travis Hunter thing, which is, regardless of whether or not it's possible, regardless of how good he is, like the thing that's going to determine whether or not this works is just if he gets hurt or not.
Yeah, and at the time when, and again, you can't just be like, well, it's because of the workload, right? We don't know if it's because he's playing more snaps at corner or whatever, and he hasn't been completely taxed. It's not like he's going 140 snaps a game like he was at Colorado, so it's not that. They haven't tested him from a workload perspective. He was probably about to get a lot more opportunities at receiver and maybe break out in that sense, and then he gets hurt. So you lose a lot of data points and entertainment with that injury. Mm-hmm. The Commanders head coach Dan Quinn's going to take over the defensive coordinator role from Joe Witt Jr. So we're in this trying to solve things standpoint for the Commanders. Defense has been rough.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, it's always interesting hearing those stories. A couple weeks ago, I think it was before their Monday night game, it was like, all right, we really just need to simplify the playbook. Need you guys playing fast. Like you're going through all of the tick boxes of how do you solve this thing. Next one is new coordinator Dan Quinn.
Yeah, I mean, at least Dan Quinn's got experience of being a coordinator for a very good defense. So I think there aren't going to be many people you could put in that gig who would do better. I don't know that it's fixing it because, I mean, the problems are, look at the talent level on defense, even just heading into the season on paper. You're like, this looks pretty rough. And this is when most people thought Washington would be good. Now they're not good, and you're like, well, this is just terrible. So maybe Dan Quinn will move the needle, but I don't know that he can work miracles, which is kind of what needs to happen at the moment.
Then a couple updates in the year of the turf toe. Joe Burrow's back.
Year of the turf toe.
Yeah, 21-day practice window is open for Joe Burrow. So he started practice this week. Means he's got 21 days to get activated and play, or else he's on IR for the rest of the season. So Burrow potentially coming back. It does make the last two games pretty difficult for the Bengals, losing to the Jets and Bears in heartbreaking fashion to fall to 3-6. You know, if they were 5-4 and Burrow was coming back, it's like, all right, about to make their run, but they're sitting here at 3-6 because the defense has blown it the last couple weeks.
This happened yesterday, so the 11th, is that right?
Yeah.
So 21 days takes you to the 30th. So it takes you between Baltimore and Buffalo in terms of games, right?
Yeah, Baltimore's Thanksgiving night, short week. I don't know if they would aim for that.
Yeah.
The Baltimore game.
Well, that's the thing. So my question would be, how many games between now and Buffalo, the three, Pittsburgh, New England, Baltimore, how many of those do they need to win for you to even contemplate activating? Like, if he's not ready to go.
And probably both. I mean, if they were 3-7,
yeah,
after
so they're currently 3-6. So
if they lose to Pittsburgh and they're 3-7, I mean, were they 3-7 last year? They were close. You got to win out. I mean, you got to win out territory. And you can make the argument, well, Joe Burrow is best equipped to do that, but Joe Flacco is putting up crazy production, and you're still not doing it this year.
I mean, if they go 2-1 in that stretch, they're 5-7. You would say they're at least alive.
Yeah. Look,
if they lose 2 of the 3 and then they're 4-8, you're like, they're probably dead. Like, if they don't win 2 of the next 3, you don't even bother. You just like,
what were they last year? They were 3-7, 4-8, something like that.
Because the thing is, during that stretch, like, you're going to get, because of the fact that this division is weird, and we're kind of assuming Baltimore is on the run, they might knock Pittsburgh over a couple of times. Like, if the Ravens sweep the Steelers, that division winner is going to be at a pretty low number, you would think. So, like,
no, that's true. And you have
Cincinnati can stay alive for longer than they would in a normal season.
And I don't think the wild card, with the way the AFC West is trending, you've
the
got
third
the
one
Bills and
definitely
Patriots
might still be a low number still.
But you've got the Chiefs. Like, right now, the potential wild cards are Chiefs, Jags, and Bills.
Yeah.
And whoever else is in the Texans are going for it. And the loser in the AFC West, Chargers, Broncos. Like, the Chargers are a wild card team at the moment. I think it's going to be really tough to make a wild card. But if you're down the street here at Paycor, formerly Paul Brown Stadium, you could easily convince yourself, look, we beat the Steelers. You got to beat the Steelers again this week.
I mean, this game
got 2
is
games
huge.
against the Ravens.
Yes, the Steelers game is
Yes.
huge. Like, if Cincinnati wins that game, right, that puts Pittsburgh to 500 on the season. They go to 5-5 by losing that game. The Bengals get up, 1 win, and it also opens the door. That makes everything easier. If they win that one game, mathematically, that division is wide the hell open, even for a team like Cincinnati. But I do wonder, like, it's kind of like the Aaron Rodgers thing, where it's like, can the Jets hang around for enough to get Rodgers back off his Achilles in season? And I don't think it was ever really likely. This is kind of the same thing. Like, he's got 21 days. You've got 3 games. If they don't win 2 of them, it's probably not worth bringing him back.
No, there's probably a tipping point where you don't. The other part is, like, does Joe Burrow just want to play football? And, if there's no issue with reoccurring injury or whatever, you just let him play, right?
It probably is, though. Like, I don't know how much you can rush back off that kind of thing.
He had surgery. Brock Purdy did not. So I don't know if that helps at all.
The other problem is...
The problem is the defense anyway.
Yeah.
But Flacco and the offense have not been the problem.
The other thing is, even if you get him back between Baltimore and Buffalo, those 2 games following that are Buffalo and Baltimore again. Like, it's, even if you win 2 of the next 3 and you're in that spot where you're 5-7, the next 2 games are against Buffalo and Baltimore, and you might be dead then anyway.
Yeah. But, I mean, nobody's saying, like, oh, they're tough games. It's just got to try to win everything. And Joe Burrow, as great as Joe Flacco has played, Joe Burrow still gives you the best chance. So he's back. Brock Purdy, also could be back. Didn't have surgery, and it was always week to week with Brock Purdy. Likely won't be 100% for the season, but Kyle Shanahan says there's a real chance he could play, quote, I do believe he's further along than when he first came back, so hopefully he'll have a chance this week.
Yeah. I mean, it's the slow roll of the return, which is always a little weird.
Yeah. It's interesting, too. Like, if Jake Browning was still the quarterback for the Bengals, it'd be like, all right, how do you speed up Burrow's timeline? But they got Flacco, and he's doing well enough that maybe you can slow play it. You have the same thing with Mac Jones and the Niners. Mac Jones is playing fine. He's playing well, I would say. And so do you have to rush back Brock Purdy?
No, not at all. I mean, Mac Jones playing, not only that, but you can absolutely take your time for this, see how it plays out. Like, I'm not 100% convinced that Brock Purdy coming back now is an immediate upgrade over Mac Jones. I think overall, he has been a better player within this offense than Mac Jones has been. But I don't know that you can guarantee that that's the case the first game you get him back.
Yeah.
So you might be downgrading if you put Brock Purdy into the lineup the first time you do it. And who knows for how long that would last. Like, he wasn't playing well before he got hurt this season, albeit in just a couple of games. So yeah, it's an interesting call. I don't understand these injuries where there's a significant sort of risk of re-injury or aggravating it or whatever, and you are like playing at 75%. I get it for things that are just like damaged, and there's, it's damaged. It's not going to get worse. It's just going to be sore. But like, for a thing that's already had a setback or whatever, what is this stuff about? Like, wait till he's 100%. Like, this,
there might not 90% be
90% of a thing is it's not workable.
But there might not be a point where he's 100%. And like you said, he's still better than Mac Jones.
Yeah, but then if he's never going to be 100%, I mean, he probably isn't.
But 90% of Purdy might not be better than Mac Jones.
If he's not going to be 100%, he's probably not an upgrade over Mac Jones at this point. So just shut him down.
Do you think we talked about it a little while ago? The reclamation projects. It's funny because everybody acts like this is like a new thing in the NFL. It just happens to be working a little bit more often than it used to. The Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield reclamation projects, Daniel Jones. Is Mac Jones the next reclamation project?
Sure. The downside of that is they have him under contract for another year, so we don't get to see him hit free agency after this and like somebody really go hard after that as an idea. Anyone that wants him has got to trade for him, and that's less likely.
So in my slow to adjust world on Tannehill, because Tannehill was the first of the reclamation projects who did well for a couple years.
I guess, yeah.
In like the last 7 or 8 years. It
Yeah.
was before Geno and all those guys. I'm very slow to adjust to that. And I really think, I think it was Richard Sherman saying, yeah, somebody's got to throw a second rounder at this. First off, I don't know if there's enough jobs out there that teams are like, that there's like a second rounder waiting for the Niners to make Mac Jones your starter. I don't know that there's enough jobs right now. I bring that up a lot. Like 10, 15 years ago in the NFL, a starter was tough to find. Elite, like the high-end quarterback play, I think was outstanding 10, 15 years ago in the NFL, in the Brady, Manning, Rodgers, Breeze era, and Roethlisberger. Like, there was a lot of high-end quarterbacks. But remember, there was a point where finding just a good starter or an average starter was a challenge. I don't think finding average starters is a challenge in today's NFL. So I don't know that there's a big market for Mac Jones. And then the second thing you have to say is, okay, the reclamation project was with Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco. Kyle's got 15 years of elevating quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Is that the guy that you really want to invest in? I know they've had injuries. I know they haven't had the same supporting cast, but that's still the fit. Mac Jones with Kyle Shanahan, are you really wanting to invest in that? And honestly, I don't even know like which teams are, in the market where they'd be like, yeah, gotta have Mac Jones.
Yeah.
Gotta have him. So I think he's done a great job. I think he's played at a Jimmy G level, what we broke down on Monday. Maybe better, maybe a little bit worse, however you want to break it down. But like, good for the Niners, good for Kyle, good for Mac Jones getting his career back on track. But I don't think he's some future starter reclamation project yet, because I'm always, slow to adjust to that.
I think it would be really interesting if he was hitting free agency this year. Like, imagine, say, Miami, right? If they kept Mike McDaniel, they hit the end of the season, they're like, you know what? Time has come for Tua to take a back seat, go in a different direction, whatever. They're going to go in a new direction at quarterback. And you have a guy, Mike McDaniel, who came from this offense, understands the impact that this offense can make. I could see a Mike McDaniel saying, Mac Jones could do a really good job in this offense. He's got that over-the-middle anticipation stuff. I can make impressive stuff with that. I don't see anybody wanting to trade for it. I could see him picking him up and rolling with that bridge idea or the halfway house of let's see what we can do for a year and then next year go for the draft. I just don't see anybody trading for it.
Chad has suggested Panthers and Bryce Young. Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence.
It's all the Alabama quarterbacks. Anyone that had an Alabama quarterback that's already failed, go for the next one.
Go with Mac Jones. Did Belichick really break him that bad? I mean, he did have a good rookie season.
Remember, he stopped talking to him. Like, there was the report that they were pissed because Mac Jones was asking, like, people outside of the building about, quarterbacking or, like, how to deal with Belichick or whatever. Because Belichick was so pissed off with how he was playing, he basically just cut him off. It was like, I'm not even talking to this asshole anymore. Yeah, I think it's entirely plausible that, yes, they ruined that guy psychologically for a period of time.
That would be the argument is that the situation got so bad, they hired, no offense to Matt Patricia, who's doing a great job as defensive coordinator at Ohio State, but they just gave him play calling.
Yeah. And even that was like didn't they have they were like co-coordinators with Joe Judge, who also had no business being the offensive coordinator.
Yeah. They may have broken him in New England. And so, good for Mac Jones here. I'm not sure, who would want him next, but something to keep an eye on, discuss this offseason. So Brock Purdy might be back. We've got Raiders offensive lineman JPJ, Jackson Powers Johnson, placed on IR, season potentially over.
Yeah.
His ankle injury that we saw last Thursday night.
Yeah, that sucks. I think he's a really good offensive lineman, and I do think it made an impact in that game when he went down, and unfortunately, long term.
Packers offensive lineman Elgton Jenkins, he went down Monday night, out indefinitely with a broken bone in his leg.
Wow, didn't he walk off?
Yeah.
Am I imagining that?
Yes, fracture in his lower leg. You know how those are? Like sometimes it's like,
it's like a hairline fracture.
This guy played on a broken leg. It's not the same as like a compound fracture. It doesn't mean it's easy. But he's out indefinitely. Asante Samuel Jr., remember he was making the rounds, has played 4 years, hit free agency, had injury issues, never signed in free agency because he had spinal fusion surgery, and he was making the rounds just now.
Minnesota was kicking the tires on him recently.
Well, the Steelers are signing him to the practice squad.
Yeah.
So something to keep an eye on for a team that's struggled on the back end, injuries at safety, the flexibility of moving Jalen Ramsey around. Samuel, if he could still play, he's a good player when he's healthy. So.
Yeah, you would say, this is a team that doesn't need corners, but they've sort of shifted that need by moving Ramsey from corner to safety. It is weird. Can you imagine? I can't imagine too many defenses that would accommodate Asante Samuel Jr. and Joey Porter Jr. in the same system. Like those are almost polar opposite corners in terms of stylistic play, and they could be starting alongside each other in a game this season, which would be kind of crazy.
Good point. Asante and Joey, good combo there. But different stylistically. New Eagles cornerback Jaire Alexander stepping away from football. Eagles just picked him up from the Ravens
for almost nothing.
Nothing. But Jaire. Supposedly trying to get physically and mentally ready. He, getting better physically and mentally. 28 years old,
and
has been
contemplating retirement.
He's dealt with a lot of injuries the last few years. Has not played a lot of football, but when he's, at his best, or when he was at his best 3 years ago, he was legit top 3-ish type of corner in the NFL.
Yeah, a fully healthy, fully dialed in Jaire Alexander is one of the best corners in the NFL. But he hasn't been that guy for quite some time. I don't know exactly what that means, focusing on getting physically and mentally ready. But if you believe, he's currently not contributing in any meaningful way to the teams that are bringing him in. So if he thinks that that's the way to go, then more power to him.
Couple PSAs here for all of our viewers and listeners. YouTubeTV has issued a $20 credit.
Yeah.
Amid the dispute with Disney. You have to click a button.
Depending, so it's to do with, they send out multiple different emails, which was confusing. It depends who you're being billed by. So if you sign up through like Google Play or something, it's different if you sign up directly with YouTube TV. In one of them, you get your $20 credit simply applied to your account.
It just happens automatically.
Correct. In the other one, you've got to go into your settings and dig it out yourself, which I feel is...
I did it. It wasn't difficult.
No, but it is unnecessary.
Yeah.
It's like,
you know, where the bills are, just take $20 off.
Right. We've said before, this is two giant, greedy corporate conglomerates trying to screw you, right? And it doesn't really matter which one's in the right. You're getting screwed either way. YouTube TV does have the capacity to win the PR battle in this and, actually look like the victim. Like Google has the chance to be the oppressed little guy in this debate or argument with Disney. And instead, they're just burning goodwill. Like, there's no reason, no matter who's billing you, that you can't simply apply the credit automatically to somebody's next bill. Making them go and do it themselves, even if it's easy, even if you just, settings thing, click a button. The only reason I can think of to do that is the understanding that a bunch of people won't, right? Just because you've got to go and click a thing and open a thing. And
oh, yeah.
There's a bunch of people that are simply too lazy to do that and will not do it, and you will save money for every one of those people that doesn't do that. That's the only reason I can think of to do that, and that makes you sleazy.
I would say about 30% of people might actually click it.
I think it'll be higher than that, but the point is, it's a percentage of a large number will not do that, and that saves you millions of dollars, and that's obnoxious.
Now, you know who's losing millions of dollars is Disney. Reported $5 million a day with this dispute. So they clearly think that the long game, losing $35 million a week is worth it.
Well,
but the long game, you think about what you could have for that. They've laid off a lot of talent recently. They could have Check the Mic maybe.
You could have a couple of months of Stephen A. Smith.
A couple of months of Stephen A. You could have a second Stephen A. Smith with a week's worth of what you're losing here. Just imagine. You could have Roger Goodell after 2 weeks.
It's only a matter of time before. I can't believe they haven't thought of this already. You know the way Stephen A. is like cycling through worthy opponents on whatever first bullshit that he does. Like, it's like this guy, Max Kellerman, was too good, so we got to get rid of him, and then everyone else will just cycle through a bunch of them, and none of these are really worthy. Opponents. Why have we not got Stephen A. versus AI Stephen A.? The only person worthy of debating me is me.
We should get there.
It's only a matter of time. I'm amazed they haven't got there already.
That's like the old video.
And
Skip. Here's Skip debating Skip.
Right, and that's a way of paying him even more money. Because now I can license me to you, and you're paying me, you're paying real me to do the show, and then you're paying me to license me to debate me. No matter what way we cut this, Stephen A. is making money.
Solitaire Stephen A. against real Stephen A.
That's. I swear to God, we are what? November the 12th, 2025.
We'll make all that money back.
By 2027, that's on your TV screens. I swear that's happening. Bookmark this right now. Come back to me in 2 years' time when we are watching Stephen A. debate AI Stephen A.
This is Stephen A. for the Cowboys. Here's Stephen A. against the Cowboys.
I predicted this was the way the world was going to go, and here we are in 2 small years.
See, what I would like is AI, I would say AI Stephen A. I want you to debate on behalf of the Cowboys in the stylings of Skip Bayless.
Yeah,
that's what I want.
Drew F. in the chat. We've got Stephen A. Smith and Stephen A.I. Smith.
That's good. How are you not running Disney right now? ESPN in particular.
I believe Bob Iger's retiring, right? Isn't he on the way out?
You're an ideas guy.
I got one idea.
Imagine that fail upwards.
I got one idea, and you're going to get there in 2 years anyway. You might as well hire me now.
I think you're ready. I'll be doing the show by myself.
No, I'd have to work it like you were going to work it into the deal with the GM gig. I got to still do my show. I'll run Disney.
I'll fire some ideas at you every week, but I got to do my show.
Look, I'll do the meeting every week. I'll run Disney for you, right? I'll have a bunch of people who actually do the work, but they all report up to me, so it's my credit. But I got to do the show on the side.
I got 8 hours of shows to do, but I'll run Disney.
Outside of that, I'll be on any call you need me to be.
All right. The last note in our document here is the question. I don't know which way this is going, but is Drake May a Tom Brady clone? Now, is this on the back of the
fact that he cloned his dog?
Cloned his dog, Brady.
Which is one of the craziest things to just drop out there.
And then the meme came out that Brady, donated his blood for 23 years ago to clone somebody in North Carolina. It's like, oh, Drake May's 23. Is that what we're going off of? Or is it the actual graphic that showed up?
No. Let's run with the
fun. On the Bucks Patriots broadcast that said that they had the same stats through a year.
No, let's run with the fun part. However long ago that was, like 25 years ago or whatever, they cloned a sheep in England, Wales, wherever, the British Isles. They cloned a sheep somewhere. They cloned a sheep somewhere in the Isles, and everyone lost their minds. They're like, "Whoa, this is an ethical line we're not prepared to cross." And they basically like suspended / banned all that kind of stuff. And here we are, 25 years later, and Tom Brady's just dropping casually in a GQ interview or whatever it was. I cloned my dog. Yeah, why not?
Who doesn't?
And now you're like, I mean, if he cloned his dog, what else would he clone? Has he already cloned himself? If you're Tom Brady and you're like, look, I'm the greatest quarterback / football player to have ever played the game.
Football needs me.
The game needs me. Why would I deprive the game of me?
We're losing the art of the pocket passer. Look at all these running
What better way to stock it back up again than just spitting out 15 more of them?
Now, Phillip Rivers, he tried a different way. He said, we're going to have 12 kids.
Yeah.
Surely we'll
have
he's doing it
the old-fashioned way.
The old-fashioned way.
Right.
Tom Brady, who's now with a wife, right? He's going to do it differently.
Yeah, he's an innovator. I mean, look, you could do these things the old-fashioned way, biologically, I guess. But, like, what better way to ensure, I mean, look, Phillip Rivers is introducing a new variable to the genetics, right? Like, I haven't vetted the missus' genetics. She might be a drag on the whole genetic ticket. This might be dragging, like all the new Rivers might be worse than Phillip because of his wife's genetics.
Right.
They might be better, but this is the gamble you take. You don't know until you produce the 15 kids and you see how they pan out, and it's like, nah, you see, they're all worse than me. What better way of eliminating the variables than simply replicating the genetic code? I know that I'm the perfect genetic code. Look at it. Look at my career. I need to just go and replicate me over and over again. I can't fault his logic. I mean, I maybe fault his ethics, but logic stacks up.
So, 20 years from now, we've just got Brady's running around in the NFL.
Like maybe Drake May was
saving the game.
Drake May have been like the beta test, right? We'll roll one slowly and just see if it works. And now it's clear that it did. So now we can just start firing them out. Brady clones, left, right, and center.
All right, can we get that graphic back up? Because it's the second PSA time for me.
Oh, God.
Through 22 career games.
Yes.
Tom Brady and Drake May, almost identical passing yards per game, same number of passing touchdowns, and Drake May with a higher completion percentage.
Yes.
We just need to stop doing all of these things.
What things?
All the cross-comparison, pace comparisons. All the pace comparisons. We had Bo Nix and Peyton Manning was going around the interwebs the other day. You've got, I did see a hilarious tweet because it was, so Bo Nix has the bad game on Thursday night, and the Bo Leavers come out and they're like, hey, let's just put this into, let's add some perspective here, right? Yeah, sure, he had a bad game, but we're a year and a half into his career. Let's compare. Yeah. Let's compare to Peyton Manning. Let's compare to Josh Allen, right? And those are the most common ones. And somebody had the hilarious tweet. It's like, it's all over when the fan base starts pulling out Josh Allen, Peyton Manning comparisons. Bless you. When they start pulling out those comparisons, because those are the go-tos, right? Peyton Manning had 28 picks in his first year. Josh Allen didn't become a star until year 3.
Right.
So, even Brady Mahomes comparisons that everybody likes to put out there, it's like, well, here's the pace through seven years. I mean, there's a million problems with these things. The first off is cross-comparing errors, of course.
Yes.
We know.
The problem, that's the thing. Tom Brady played for so long that people forget that he started his career like in the 1920s and it's a different game.
Of course, it's completely, actually, I didn't realize, like his completion percentage of 64%, at that time.
It would have been great.
Hitting 61 was like incredible at that time. So that's one thing. The second part of the pace thing, it's one thing to say, look, Peyton Manning struggled early, and which he didn't really. I just think he had a lot of picks. He was actually awesome.
He struggled, but just the way
young
quarterbacks struggled at that time.
But he was awesome in adding value. Like he threw a ton of touchdowns. And
but those two things can exist at the same time. Like you can struggle relative. That's just how young quarterbacks struggled at that time. You had a bunch of big mistakes, and that was part of the adjustment to the NFL was learning what you can get away with at the NFL level that you couldn't in college because the game was so different. Like he had a lot of really good, like nobody came out of his rookie season and was like, man, Peyton Manning threw a ton of interceptions. Time to cut bait on that one. Everyone was convinced he was awesome. It was just in year one, he had a bunch of bad plays. It was understood that was just part of the development process in the late 90s, that your young quarterback was going to make a ton of bad mistakes, and then he would get past that, and he would become a very good player at that point. That's just how you struggled back then. Now, the adjustment is different, and they struggle in different ways.
Yeah, and so my problem is when you pull out a comparison to Peyton Manning or Tom Brady or whoever you want to compare it to, it might paint a picture like, okay, through this period of time, there were some similarities. But the implication is like what Tom Brady did from 35 years old and on was insane. Like he had a Hall of Fame career in his 40s. He had a Hall of Fame career from 35 to 40, right? Like it was crazy insane. So and with the Peyton Manning thing, if you're like, well, Bo Nix, same guy as Peyton Manning. I see Danny Parkins pulls out the Justin Herbert, Peyton Manning thing. Well, Peyton didn't win a Super Bowl till year 7, and Peyton didn't win an MVP until year 4, or whatever it was. But then he did it, right? Then he went on this incredible run after year 3. Peyton Manning from his second year, honestly, from 1999 through 2014, was one of the best quarterbacks of all time.
Yeah.
So the implication is, well, if you're on pace, then that means that the next 10 years are going to be just like the guy that we're comparing to, which it certainly will not be. So why are we? It's just making everybody dumber. It's making everyone dumber, and we all need to stop. We all need to stop doing the comparison thing, whether it's Mahomes and Brady, Herbert and Peyton, Bo Nix and anybody, because Bears fans were doing this a couple years ago. They were like, hey, I know it's not there with Justin Fields yet. I know we're not there, but have you considered what Justin Fields has done through 2 years compared to what Josh Allen has done through 2 years? Have you considered that? It looks similar.
Comparing anybody to Tom Brady's career feels like a stupid thing to do. Tom Brady has one of the most unique careers in NFL history, so nobody's going to, there's no point in comparing anybody to him because it's not going to go the same way. Nobody's career did that. Tom Brady he's literally played basically longer than any other quarterback in the NFL. His career has 3 different acts to it. So none of that made any sense from a linear point of view.
Yeah, he didn't even make any comparisons.
Right. He didn't just have this sort of nice, neat, curve that we all expect to see in a career, whatever that's supposed to look like.
Elway's a common one too.
Yeah.
That's real. Elway had terrible stats early on. But that's the thing. You could have made – were they doing this with Jeff George? Hey, you think Jeff George is really struggling as the number 1 overall pick? Look at how Elway did in his first year. Jeff George is going to be just fine. Fine.
Probably. But the idea that even if somebody matched the first 8 years of Tom Brady's career, that means the next, 12 or whatever are going to look the same, it's nuts.
Just don't do it.
Stupid.
Anymore. That's my PSA for the day.
Okay.
No cloning. None of that.
No cloning. Don't clone yourself.
All right, quick break to talk about our friends over at Root Insurance. Root Insurance believes that good drivers deserve better rates, so they've created a new kind of car insurance that rewards good drivers in an easy-to-use app. Traditional car insurance companies focus on demographics like age, zip code, occupation, and credit score to price your coverage. But when Root offers a rate, your behavior behind the wheel gets more weight than any other single factor. They don't use occupation or education level to negatively affect your rate. While you drive, Root gathers and analyzes data from your smartphone sensors. After a few weeks, you'll get a car insurance quote based primarily on your driving. Save up to 44% off your initial Root quote after you take the test drive. If you need a tow truck, jump start, or if you lock the keys in the car, Root will cover the help you need to get back on the road when you opt into roadside assistance. The Root app makes it easy to edit your coverage, update your policy, or file a claim in just 3 minutes. You can get started today at Root.com. And as we do on Wednesdays, we provide roadside assistance today to the Buffalo Bills. They're 6-3. Sky's falling. Follow a lot of Bills fans. I follow a lot of their, hardcore fan sites, and I feel the angst in the air for Bills fans coming off of a great win against the Kansas City Chiefs in Week 9 and one of the more disappointing losses of the season in Week 10 against the Miami Dolphins. So, Buffalo Bills, how do we provide roadside assistance for the Bills to get them back on track?
Well, I think
you and I have a very simple answer.
A big part of fixing what ails Buffalo has been find an ex-wide receiver that everyone has been calling for since they traded away Stephon Diggs. Traded away, got rid of. Since they got rid of Stephon Diggs, they haven't had a guy with that skill set. And they keep bringing in receivers. It's not like they don't acknowledge receiver is a thing. They bring in all these receivers, none of whom have an ex-wide receiver skill set, and then they still have that missing skill set. And even now, they're having fought against this idea all offseason. Brandon Beane then goes out here and is like, you know what would help at the deadline? Let's go try to get Jalen Waddle. They're like, well, all right, but we could just add an ex-wide receiver to the group. No? Now, the problem is now the trade deadline's done. You're only dealing with street free agents, and there aren't really many of those.
And the point Brandon Beane made this offseason was, hey, we scored 30 points a game last year without this alpha, without an alpha. Forget X, but without while sending Stephon Diggs elsewhere, we still scored 30 a game.
Well, he was basically arguing it's not an issue. Only now it clearly is an issue, as acknowledged by the fact that even you went and tried to get a number one wide receiver.
I have a simpler issue. Stop turning the ball over. It's really that.
Simply win the turnover battle again.
Just win the turnover battle again. The thing that you got complimented for last year and maybe previous years as well, especially when Joe Brady first took over in the middle of 2023, the thing you got complimented for, winning the turnover, taking care of the football, that is difficult to have full control over. You can control it to a point. Like you could play so conservatively that you'll never turn it over, but it's tough to control. The bounce of the ball, James Cook fumble, Josh Allen, when he makes a bad decision, does it get caught or not? That's why they've lost 3 games. And that's why they've lost in the fashion that they've lost. There was awful turnovers against the Falcons, against the Patriots, and then against the Dolphins. Particularly this Dolphins game, because they started to move the ball on 3 different drives and then turned it over, including the 2 either in the red zone or very close to the red zone with the Dolphins. I mean, that's it. They're still number 5 in EPA per play. Like, they're still a really good offense. You might be missing some explosive plays down the field. There is a Dalton Kincaid injury. If he was not injured, I'd say, look, you've replaced a few downfield completions with Dalton Kincaid being uncoverable this year. That's fine. So the injury does hurt a little bit. You got one of the best run games with James Cook. Just, you've got all the answers still there. Just the turnovers have to go your way. So stop turning it over.
Yeah.
Which you might not completely control because it's a bounce of the ball. And
Definitely don't.
It's some luck.
Yeah. I mean, particularly on defense. Like that.
But that's the problem. Like, that's what the problem is relative to last year. I know there's some schematic stuff. I know you're missing an X, and there might be some stuff. But bottom line is the turnover luck has not gone in their way in 3 particular games.
Yeah. I mean, I think the problem with having a defense that's constructed in a bend but don't break way that's relied on turnovers for years is if those turnovers disappear, and even if it's only temporary, during the time that they disappear, you're in trouble because now your defense just gives up more than other teams, and that's the issue that they're in at the moment. I don't know how you refocus on defense on turnovers. It's not an easy thing to do. They're already good at it, but that doesn't mean you're not subject to variance.
Do you have Josh Allen's? I got to find Josh Allen's turnover-worthy play rate. Because remember, again, I'm a slow to adjust guy. Theme of the show here. Remember 2 years ago when they fired Ken Dorsey and brought in Joe Brady? I probably gave the same defense. Like, you don't have to do that. I guess I would be different if I was in the seat. I would be more reactionary. Like, you have to adjust to the ebbs and flows of the season if you're the GM, coach, whatever it might be. And 2 years ago, the Bills fired Ken Dorsey and brought in Joe Brady. And I know the nerds at the time were like, look, the offense is one of the best in the NFL. Like, what are you doing? You don't have to do that. And then it ended up getting better. Like, the offense didn't get better in advanced statistics, but they won more. There was a little bit more continuity in the offense, and it worked. In this case, I still don't think that there are drastic issues. I do have it. You want to know Josh Allen's turnover-worthy play rate?
Sure.
Now, I saw Chiefs fans very much complaining about this number a few weeks ago. He had 2 interceptions against the Falcons, and I don't believe either one went down as a turnover-worthy play for PFF. And it's not my job to defend them, but I think the reasoning was he got his arm hit on one, and another one, I think the receiver got one of them was batted. We know it was a batted pass. That's not going to go down as a turnover-worthy play. And the other one, I think he got his arm hit, and it looked bad. It looked bad, but he got his arm hit. It's kind of debatable. Like, you made a tough
that was one of those ones
while you've got pressure. So it's kind of a bad decision, but like the result of it is
they do have a tendency at PFF to basically absolve the quarterback anytime his arm is hit. And you're like, but there's some times where the fact that his arm is hit was inevitable when he's attempting this throw, which is on him. It's like, if you know you basically can't execute this pass without your arm getting hit, then you're responsible for the consequences of taking the shot anyway, having your arm hit and having it pop right to a linebacker. And I think that, I'm only working from memory, but that to me struck me as one of those plays where like it felt kind of on him.
Yeah. Right. So let's blame Josh Allen for that one, let's say. He's got 5 turnover-worthy plays this year. If we add in the Falcons one, we just did our own grading.
Yeah.
And he's got 5 picks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Last year he had 15 turnover-worthy plays, and he had 6 picks. I mean, that's why you and I bring up those stats all the time, because one is contextual, and one is a lot of luck and bounce of the ball. So when you talk about what should the Bills do differently, make sure the ball bounces the right way. Don't fumble. Recover your fumbles, right? The Chiefs have recovered every single one of their fumbles this year. Doesn't mean they're great at taking care of the ball. It means the ball's bounced right back to them, and they've recovered it. I mean, Mahomes made 2 great fumble recoveries. Credit to him. But at some point, the fumbles probably come back to bite them, right? The Bills last year weren't doing a great job of taking care of the ball. They were, but they also had some turnover luck in there. I'm not sky is falling.
No.
With the Bills.
I mean,
Carry on.
None of it is catastrophic. The problem with the Bills is that this is a team that expects to be in the playoffs, expects to be winning the division, and wants to win a Super Bowl. So, like, you're trying to go from, like, 90th percentile to 95th percentile, and that's the problem. So any chink in the armor, any weakness at all is like, well, this is going in the opposite direction, not the right direction.
Yeah. There are some things. I mean, Josh Allen, there are plays where he looks like he's pressing. You could say that at any time in his career because of the way he plays with some aggressiveness. He's getting sacked at a much higher rate this year versus last year. I think there's a few more of those run-around plays at times when they were pressing a little bit, I think, against Miami. But it just happens. You have, like, what I would say, as we provide roadside assistance to the Bills, they're going to be fine. Stay healthy, and they're going to be fine. Every Super Bowl champion through the years has a bad game. Maybe the Eagles didn't really have a disaster last year. Think about Kansas City had like a Christmas Day massacre against the Raiders 2 years ago. Looked awful. Bounced back, they were fine. The Bucs and Rams both lost games I think they were identical, like 38-3 scores in 20 and 21 in their Super Bowl years. Like, good teams have bad games. Now the Bills have had 3 of them in the last 6 weeks. I still think they'll be okay.
That's the problem, though. It's like they haven't just had a bad game. They've had a few of them where it looked not good.
Get Allen, playing within himself a little bit more, get the run game going, stay healthy on defense. Mm-hmm. That's the key to the Bills, our roadside assistance. It's autopsy time. We have 2 things to do. This is the longest show ever. Autopsies this week.
Some more teams have died. Some of them were already dead.
They died weeks ago. We're just talking about it now. A late autopsy on the Tennessee Titans, Cleveland Browns, and New Orleans Saints. Tennessee Titans.
The Titans, I think you can question, were they ever really alive?
Yeah, like week 2, cause of death.
Yeah, I mean, cause of death for the Titans has got to be they just don't have enough talent anywhere. Like, you bring in Cam Ward, and you're like, really the offseason analysis for them was if Cam Ward is the latest of this group of quarterbacks that's so special that they change everything by themselves, then maybe the Titans could be a surprise. But overall, looking at the team, there's not really much to work with.
All 3 teams, it's like a similar story. Titans, Browns, Saints. We came into the season saying it's a rebuild, right? The Titans just picked number 1 overall with their quarterback, and they're in transition from a front office perspective. The Browns just pushed some draft capital into next year, and they took a couple mid-round swings on quarterbacks, and clearly it's a rebuild there coming out of the Deshaun Watson saga and mess. And the Saints, for the first time in forever, are rebuilding, right? They just drafted a second-round quarterback, and they haven't, they've been void of talent over the last couple of years. So I think the Titans, it was by like week 4, you knew that they weren't going to be competitive. Fired their coach first, Brian Callahan. The Browns, I mean, losing to the Jets really solidifies things, but you knew it was pretty early once they're trading Joe Flacco and going with Dylan Gabriel, that they're in full rebuild mode. And the Saints, same thing. Like they're competitive in a bunch of games, but they're in rebuild mode. So they all went as expected, right? It's an interesting NFL season where at the top of the NFL, it's a surprise seeing the Broncos, the Colts, the Patriots, and some of the teams that have great records in, say, the AFC, and the Chiefs, Ravens, and Bills, who are usually up there, are battling for wild card spots right now. At the bottom of the NFL, though, things are going as expected, right? In our little graveyard over there, 4 of the 5 teams in the graveyard, the Jets, Browns, Saints, and Titans, all pretty much expected.
Yeah, so the Titans, I think they have the earliest death date. I think they were, because they're firing Callahan, it's got to be the moment where they were like officially dead. So that was October the 13th, I think.
So October 13th we'll put in?
Yeah.
So
that's going to be their date of death up on the, I'm going to do that now.
Get over there. We don't have a camera to get you.
Well, we do. We just have to, it's work to focus it or whatever.
Browns, if you can't see it, well, I know you can't see it at the moment. We do have an actual graveyard up on the wall with the cause of death. Like Miami died on Halloween. We gave the Jets November 4th.
You can see it there.
There it is. Look at that.
That's Tennessee's date of death. When was the Browns? So here's one. The Browns is going to screw it all up because I believe that the Browns' cause of death was the Deshaun Watson trade. The Deshaun Watson trade has destroyed this team.
Sometime in 2021.
That's the reason they suck now, because Deshaun Watson was such a complete and total disaster that they had to pivot and go in a different direction, and there was basically no way of doing that this year, really, right?
March 18th, 2022.
There we go.
3/18/22, please. I appreciate you doing the date American style, too, by the way. Was that a difficult adjustment for you?
Yes, that's the worst adjustment.
3/18/22 was the Browns' cause of death. They died in March 3 years ago.
Exactly.
Three and a half years ago.
That's the time of death for the Browns, because this year had to be basically a sacrificial year. They had to basically burn this year because there's no way of getting out from that Watson contract and bringing in like a real quarterback contract.
It caused the death of 3 different seasons.
Yeah, exactly. So unless you were going to go and draft a quarterback at the top of that draft, and they didn't apparently like any of them enough to do that, the only way out was to stink this year and to go for next year. And they traded into next year. They've positioned themselves for next year. But this year had to be a sacrifice. It had to be a dead season. So there's no way. Watson caused the year.
How about the Saints?
The Saints.
So lost to the Cardinals. When did they?
This isn't, because there's no definitive. I mean, is their season dead the moment they turned it over to Shuck? Like, the Rattler thing is now run its course. Let's just see what we have in Shuck. That's basically the year. White flag raised. Maybe Shuck will be an upgrade, but it's still like the plan is over.
Where did they win? Oh, they beat the Giants. So they beat the Giants October 5th, signs of life for a minute. It was almost like as soon as they lost that next game, and then they handed it to Shuck before the Rams game on November 2nd.
Yeah, it would have been, I would put it the previous game where they bench Rattler.
October 26th.
Benching Rattler, I think, is their time of
They
death.
declared it's time to look to the future.
Yeah, October 26th.
Not that Shuck is worse than Rattler. It's just they declared, hey, we're done with we're done with this.
What did you say it was 26?
10/26. 25, not 2022. Man, the Browns have been dead for a while. So there we go. We got 5 in the graveyard. Doesn't mean other teams aren't dead. We just haven't gotten to them yet.
Yeah. We're just working our way through the deaths.
Cause of death for all 3, lack of talent.
Yeah, I mean, the Browns, you made the worst, literally the single worst personnel move in NFL history. That's a problem. And it turns out that's a problem that takes quite a few years to undo. So that's their cause of death. The cause of death of the other 2, yes, just general lack of talent, I think, is their problem.
So there we go. That's our NFL Autopsy series. We'll continue it next week with a few more team deaths. Want to spend the next few minutes looking ahead, a little division outlook here, and go through some of the more competitive divisions and see if we can, I don't know if we need to make a prediction, but at least break it down. Let's start in the AFC North. Heading into Week 11 here, the Steelers are in first at 5-4. Ravens are in second at 4-5. Bengals still alive at 3-6, and the Browns are dead at 2-7, as we just declared.
Like only a game back though from the Bengals.
Yeah, they're still in the hunt. Everyone's in the hunt. Like if everyone wins out, no one's actually dead. If everyone wins out, they could still.
Well, the thing is, the difference being Cleveland doesn't have a Joe Burrow on the horizon to come back and fix things. You know, there's no quarterback riding into the Browns building where you're like, oh, as soon as they get him back, watch out, Browns are going to roll. It's like, no, they just stink.
So as predicted, so the Steelers still have to play the Ravens twice. The division-leading Steelers have to play the Ravens twice, and the Bengals this week. Huge game for Cincinnati, or else they might be in the graveyard next week.
They're in the graveyard the moment they declare Burrow's not coming back this year.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. And Steelers-Ravens, man, it's going to be the Steelers can't find any semblance of consistency. I saw, was it Greg Rosenthal put out there? Fourth time in 5 seasons, the Steelers have a negative point differential, but now that they're on pace to have a winning record.
Right.
Like no other team does this ever, and the Steelers do it.
Tomlin.
It's just a hilarious.
Tomlin black magic.
It's just a hilarious thing. So you're going to get beat up by some good teams. You're going to win a game you're not supposed to. You're going to lose a game, and they just keep adding up, the Tomlin games.
Yeah.
And you got a 40-year-old quarterback just, playing the Mike Tomlin game here.
And I do think there's something to it. It's just I think that can only take you so far. Like you can.
Well, the funny thing is, I saw Pony suggested trading a 1. The Giants trading a 1 for Mike Tomlin.
What?
Trading for Mike Tomlin.
Why?
To be head coach.
This is just like what would be the best thing to happen to me
for the Steelers.
Let's make that happen.
I'm just saying, there would be, if you're a team like the Giants that has not had a winning season in a while, 2022 and what, like 1 in 6
you actually
or 7.
value raising the floor to them.
There would be some. It's the same thing we just said about Trevor Lawrence.
You being the Giants.
Same thing about, remember when Derek Carr was a free agent?
Yeah.
Like half the teams would be like, no way, we can't take Derek Carr. Half the teams are like, absolutely, we need that stability. There's a good chunk of teams that would love to have Mike Tomlin's stability.
Sure.
And then, 5 years from now, it's like, well, that ran out.
Right.
The Steelers fans might be at that point where, like, it's the black magic is fun and all, but we feel like it's capped.
Well, that was the Mike Shanahan thing. It's like the Broncos were like, they were good, not great for a period towards the end of his career there. And eventually Denver was like, you know what? It's time to go in a different direction. Thanks for the Super Bowls, Mike, but we're going to go somewhere else. And he immediately gets another gig and goes to Washington and assembles like the greatest coaching staff of NFL history, apparently, with his son and McVay and McDaniel and blah, blah, blah. Bobby. But it's like, there's immediate value to even the guy that is good, not great, if you're not good.
Where do you think this one ends up?
I think the Ravens are going to win it. I think even if they split the series against Pittsburgh, I feel like their schedule is easy enough that they'll find a game.
I think the Ravens are still flawed. Their defense is not going to be as bad as it was earlier in the year. But sometimes that stuff just like pops up in big games. I think they're more flawed than they've been. In recent years, but still probably the best team in that division. So I think the Ravens.
Even if they're not the best team in that division, I think it's easier to fluctuate in performance if your quarterback is MVP caliber than if your quarterback is old and busted and has a pretty low ceiling at this point in his game. Like the fluctuations in Pittsburgh's play all fall within a limit of offensive production. The fluctuations in Baltimore's play can go from, if everything goes well, we'll shut you down and we'll stomp on you offensively. If everything doesn't go well, we might give up a ton of points, but we'll probably still be really good on the offensive side, so we're okay.
Last thing on that, you mentioned Baltimore's schedule. According to PFF's power rankings, it's the 6th easiest schedule remaining.
Yeah.
The Steelers have the 11th hardest schedule remaining.
Right.
Usually the team with the first place schedule has but the Ravens have just played all their difficult games.
Yeah.
Because to date, they've got the 4th hardest.
Right.
schedule.
I mean, that was part of this whole why they had a terrible record is look at they played to start the season. It was tough.
So difficult schedule for Pittsburgh, easier schedule for Baltimore. And so could see them overtaking them soon. AFC East is getting interesting now with that Bills loss. Patriots 8-2, Bills 6-3.
Yep.
They'll play each other one more time, but because of that loss, the Bills still need. They can't just win one game and get back on track. They need a little bit more to happen. And New England all season has had a pretty easy schedule. It's been 32nd, so easiest schedule to this point, third easiest remaining. They are taking advantage of the last place schedule, but also they've beaten the Bills, they've beaten the Bucs, they've beaten the good teams that they've needed to in recent weeks as well.
Yeah, they were one of the 3 teams to start the season who had a materially easier schedule than the rest of the league in terms of not just from based off last year's totals, but based off projecting this year's performance. They have always had one of the easiest schedules in the NFL to a point where it matters. And I think that's a factor. I mean, it's a factor in why they are where they are, but also a factor going forward. I think at this point you have to say the Patriots are favored for the division. What are the actual odds?
PFF's betting NFL power rankings, New England 67% chance to win the division per their numbers. Buffalo has all the other percentage. So I believe it's probably a slight percentage somewhere else. Where's Buffalo? Yeah, 33%. So, yeah, 2 out of 3 real world simulations has New England winning division because of the lead. By the way, Baltimore 69% chance of winning the division at this point.
Probably up until last week, I would have said Buffalo was still the favorite. But last week with Buffalo dropping that disappointing game and New England also again answering the call against Tampa Bay and getting that win, I think that flips it.
ESPN has their odds as well.
Well, more importantly, FanDuel.
What are their odds for?
Minus 270 for New England as the favorites, and then Buffalo plus 210. So significant enough favorite for New England.
Where are we going next? Lost my spot again. AFC South. How hard could it be?
How hard?
Colts are 8-2. Jags 5-4. Coming off that, again, think about how big one game is. If the Jags were 6-3 instead of 5-4, after the heartbreaker against the Texans, and the Texans would be dead, 3-6, pretty much done, and they're 4-5, right? One game behind the Jags now.
Yeah, I mean, you would say this. I mean, it would take something pretty spectacular from the Colts in terms of implosion to not win this division. It
would take Daniel Jones turnover-worthy plays.
Wow. The interesting thing, though, for this division, I think, is can either the Jags or the Texans pull it together enough to make them like a wild card challenge?
The Colts have the second easiest schedule to date, third hardest coming out here.
Ooh.
So, again, you're going to look back at this.
Be exposed as frauds.
No, I mean they could. I'm saying the Jags have on the easier side of schedules. And it's a blown opportunity. You're going to go, if you're a Jags fan, you're going to look back at that Texans game and say that was a big missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Colts go to Kansas City in a couple weeks. They've got some tough ones coming up here. I'm not saying they're going to fall apart. They still have about a 70% chance to win the division.
Right.
But
they could have applied some pressure anyway.
Absolutely. I still like the Colts to pull it off.
Yeah,
in the South.
I mean, I think they should fairly comfortably win the division.
AFC West is going to be fascinating. Broncos are 8-2, Chargers 7-3. Chiefs are in third at 5-4. Broncos Chiefs this week in Denver. They still play each other one more time after that. Chiefs Chargers play. Broncos Chargers also play. So this week's going to go a long way. Technically, right now, Denver's the favorite to win the division, but under 50%, 48% chance to win the division for Denver. Chargers at 28%, Chiefs at 23%. Knowing the history here, here's what's interesting from the PFF numbers. Chiefs still have the best chance of winning the conference. So PFF, because history matters, right? The Chiefs, number 1 in the West to win the conference, and they're third to win the division.
I mean, Chiefs are 2 games back from the Chargers, and they're favored over them to win the division. Behind Denver, Denver are the favorite, but Kansas City is second, according to FanDuel's numbers. Plus 130 for Denver, plus 145 for Kansas City, so really close. And then the Chargers are plus 330. So even though they're in third place in the division, it was kind of echoing, and quite a way back. I mean, 3 games back from,
yes.
And it kind of echoes what I'm thinking. It's like I have so little confidence in what that Denver offense is going to be on a week-to-week basis. The Chargers, I think that offensive line is just a crippling flaw that at least sets a ceiling on them, if not a floor on a week-to-week basis. I almost feel best about the Chiefs, who are in third place and 3 games back.
Yeah, because we know what they've done before. This is why, I say this about the MVP race and everything. All the odds are doing are projecting, right? It's not a description. Like when you see MVP odds, it's a projection of what we think is going to happen, the most likely odds and how people are putting money on it. These are all projections. This week, you're not going to find many more high leverage division games than this one this week.
Yeah.
You'll find them within a division, but given the Chiefs' history and the dynasty, as you would say, there's a lot on the line this weekend with Chiefs-Broncos.
Yep.
It's going to be a fun game. The NFC North, 2 in the NFC to discuss here. NFC North, 2 6-3 teams. You had John Daly and Tiger Woods. The John Daly Bears at 6-3. The Tiger Woods Lions at 6-3. Packers at 5-3-1.
Yep.
Stupid tie. And the Vikings still alive at 4-5, but in last place.
Yeah, I feel best about the Lions still. I know they've had some wobbles. And
where's FanDuel have the Lions? I bet they're highly favored.
I would assume so. Green Bay, there's just too many games. I think we've seen now too many games where they get dragged into this scrap and it doesn't work out. Lions minus 125 as the favorite. Packers plus 175. Bears plus 700 despite the John Daly. No faith in John Daly in Vegas. And then the Vikings way back.
The problem with the Bears is their schedule. They've got they're at Minnesota this week. Still a tough game, division game. Pittsburgh Steelers. Then they have the Eagles and Packers in back-to-back weeks. Eagles, is that when is that? Oh, that's the Black Friday game. Bears-Eagles. They're Black Friday this year. Then the Packers in 2 out of 3 weeks. And then they finish the season with the Lions. The Bears do have a tough stretch. And for a team that's won all those close games, 5 one-score games now for the Bears, we'll see how that ends up playing out. But, yeah, still think the Lions are the best team in that division.
Plus, Dan Campbell, offensive genius, has reclaimed the play calling duties. Everything's going to be good now.
Every time he calls plays, the opposing team changes defensive coordinators.
Yeah, and they put up 570 yards or whatever it was. Can't argue with that.
NFC West, maybe the best division in football. Seahawks and Rams at 7-2. That'll come to a head this week. Niners 6-4, and the Cardinals at 3-6. Seahawks Rams, man. I mean, we'll break it all down tomorrow as far as an individual matchup goes, but both teams showing signs of being a juggernaut in today's NFL. Both teams playing great right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this week is going to be one of the most fascinating matchups because of that game. We get to see the 2 best teams, I think, of this division pretty clearly now, going head-to-head and seeing who stacks up.
Where does FanDuel have this? Rams? Favored?
Yes, Rams minus 120, Seattle plus 130, and then San Francisco plus 1,000, and Arizona are not winning the division.
Yeah, really interesting because I could see Seattle. What was it when Pete Carroll was there? Pete Carroll always beat.
Yeah, the rock, paper, scissors thing.
Rock, paper, scissors, yeah.
Shanahan always beat McVay.
McVay beat Carroll.
Maybe.
And Carroll beat Shanahan. Did it ever get to that point?
I don't remember. It was the 3 of them. Was Seattle even involved in that? Wasn't it Arizona that always had a weird quirk over one of these teams?
I don't know, Kingsbury?
Yeah.
I don't know. But I would say, I think matchup-wise, I could easily see the argument for Seattle over the Rams. Like I could talk myself into that from a head-to-head matchup standpoint, the Seahawks being even the matchup for the Rams, a better matchup.
Even forget the matchup. I mean, what Seattle has been doing, they look like the best team in the NFL in the last couple of weeks. Like they have been going out there and just stomping people, and the games are over at halftime, and then they just cruise into the whatever the final score is going to be. I mean, right now, they look like an absolute dominant force. More than I think certainly more than the Rams, more than any other team. So if if they come out here and just absolutely blitz the Rams in the first half, it wouldn't be mind-blowing.
But at the same time, the Seahawks did that against Arizona was playing well, and they got 2 defensive touchdowns. Commanders, they whooped. Everybody's beating them.
But there's also a difference between
just
the Saints
beating
a team beating a team the same way everyone else is beating and coming out there and murdering them for a half and then just easing off the gas.
No, I get it. I mean, Seattle looks great right now, but the Rams have they're favored by FanDuel, as you mentioned, at -120. And I would say, Stafford and Darnold both playing at MVP caliber levels. It's going to be an awesome week. So we can't end the show for a couple minutes now. We got an internet reboot from Hagel.
I think the Seahawks, my money would be on the Seahawks to win that division at the moment. Now,
who did I pick before? So you picked the Rams before the season, and I took Seattle.
Yeah.
We should stick with that.
Should we?
Fight to the death here. I've got Seattle. That was my prediction. You took the Rams.
Yeah, well, now, having seen half a season of evidence, I now believe that Seattle is more likely.
That's enough evidence to change, I would say. I need a lot of evidence to change. There's been enough.
Yeah, it's not changing. Part of that was I think the Rams were and still are an actual Super Bowl contender, and I didn't think Seattle was anywhere in that conversation. But Sam Darnold is playing like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Things are different. Like, their offense looks completely different than I had envisaged it looking preseason. So that catapults them right into the mix.
Mohall says, I'm going to give you lobsters for Thanksgiving. So that's Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve is lobsters.
Christmas Eve?
Remember I gifted you lobsters on Christmas Eve?
I know, Christmas Eve.
On Christmas. Yeah. That's our family tradition.
Christmas Eve lobsters.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Naturally.
You're saying that like it's a normal thing.
Yeah. We don't go full 7 fishes, but we do crustacean. One big crustacean and some other fishes. That's what we do. So yeah, we'll have lobsters. I don't think I'm going back to, the shoreline this year.
Yeah.
So I have to find. Jungle Jim's has lobsters. Are those flown in fresh?
I assume so.
I need some lobster on Christmas Eve.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, fresh, but they do. They have them in the tanks. They're alive.
They're in the tanks. Yeah. So they got to be good. Right from the Ohio River.
I assume they were flown in somewhere to get into the tank, but they're in the tank alive.
I'll go to Jungle Jim's.
At which point, that's freshness.
What are you making on Thanksgiving this year? That's it. Those are our division reviews.
My daughter is, fully American at this point, so she will insist on turkey.
You gonna smoke it?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Overnight.
Overnight.
Do you have to do it overnight? I think I woke up at 3 a.m. or something to smoke it a couple years ago.
I don't think I'll have a whole turkey because there's only 3 of us.
Yeah. Do you want to come over? We might not have people. Hang out at our house.
So I think I'll
watch
on some kind of turkey crown or, even just a turkey breast or whatever, like a smaller variant of a turkey, at which point I don't need to do it overnight.
You better make it. If you don't have your, I know you passed the initial test, but you're not finalized yet, you better make a turkey.
Well, they said, I passed my citizenship test, and, they said, we'll schedule your oath ceremony, and that hasn't happened yet. It happened for my wife 24 hours after she passed her test. And a quick Googling suggests that this is the type of thing that can simply disappear into a black hole for an indeterminate amount of time. They say you'll hear within 30 days. It's got to be getting close.
Close to 30.
20 at this stage. So they say that, but Google says, no, this can disappear for a year, and you'll just never hear from them again.
Google wouldn't lie.
So that'll be fun. If
great.
It just disappears and I never hear from them again.
Just don't do anything stupid. Make a turkey and get it over with.
Yeah.
We'll talk more Thanksgiving next week, 2 weeks from now. Thanksgiving week, we'll just have 2 shows, by the way. We'll do our preview on Wednesday. So you'll lose the Wednesday update. Maybe we'll go live on Thanksgiving. You never know. Tease that every year.
Yeah.
And I'll be in my turkey coma, never wanting to speak, but, see what happens. All right, Hagel's back. We're good. That's it for us today.
We can shut down the show now.
We got the Week 11 preview is tomorrow. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. We'll see you again tomorrow with more. Check the mic.